6:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Let's go to the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers shut out the Nashville Predators last night 4-0. Leon Draisaitl netted a hat trick for the Oilers. The Preds host Chicago tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Some late morning hockey. Padres blasted the Braves 12-1 yesterday. Atlanta committed 3 errors. The defending World Series champs, they've lost 2 in a row, 4 of their last 5 in this early stage of the season. First pitch tonight in San Diego, 8:40 is the time for that. For the second consecutive year, Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Volunteers will play their season opener on a Thursday night, this time against Ball State, known for being the alma mater of Blaine Bishop. That'll be at 6 o'clock Central on SEC Network. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, here on this Friday. Air conditioner still not a thing here in the building. I dressed like I didn't think it was going to be.
I wore short sleeves today.
We did get the email, though, that all doors are supposed to be open in the building and everything, prop open everything, and be careful walking in the halls because there's going to be live mics everywhere. I was just like, that's going to go poorly.
A guy like me might just yell throughout the hallways. It's just what I do.
Storm knocked out the upstairs HVAC. Basically, it's a story.
I ain't trying to hear it, but we're here now. We're here now, Jay. So it's all that matters, man. A little steamy.
Well, I know they were trying to work on it yesterday, so they must have run into some issue. Lead company, man. 615-567-1000.
Got to get somebody here to do it.
At least it's not like summertime and it's gone out. This is why I say, I mean, it's going to be 72. It's not 102.
Well, yeah. It's actually supposed to be more storms tonight, man. Hey, what are we doing?
Springtime in the South, man. What do you think this is?
Springtime in the South. You 100% correct, Shay. A baseball tournament to go to this weekend. Every weekend's a baseball tournament.
Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin.
Yes, you are.
At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon.
That was both of us that time, right?
Yeah, but yours wasn't very good.
Mine was real great.
So
It's Shapes like, yeah, I'm not arguing with you today.
Claire Grace was born at 8:26 on the 14th in the PM. Yeah. Do you think she made it to her birth hour?
Nah.
Last night.
Oh, as ratchet as that child is? Of course.
Oh, no. She was out.
That's because she had
about
fun time with Uncle Mo.
About 2:30, she was like, grandparents, love you. Time to go.
I was her introduction to the yard, man. Just me and CG yesterday. She used me up, too, by the way. Your daughter, I never say anything bad about her again, Jay. You've been put on notice. You have been put on notice. She's a
wonderful child until it's time for a nap.
Well,
at which point she's still a wonderful child. She's just a wonderful child that doesn't want to nap.
You know what? It's hard for me to take naps, too. So she's my spirit animal at this point. So because of that, I'm telling you, I'll slash your tires for that child, just so you know. Yeah, Shafe. Guess who just got added to my bleep you Aaron Rodgers?
You see what Michael Irvin said?
Jason Martin.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers.
What did he say?
He said Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams are going to regret leaving those quarterbacks behind. And I was like, I think Hill's probably got a bigger chance of regretting it than – because I don't think Derek Carr is bad, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a relationship with Devontae.
Well, think about this, though. Antonio Brown hated Derek Carr so much he froze his own feet.
I just think AB was broken, period, anyway, by that point.
Yeah, well,
for the short term.
Hey.
He's either going to be Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger,
or
Drew Brees. This is going to have to be like Hall of Fame level quarterback.
It was at that point for AB, and clearly Derek Carr wasn't that way. AB even admitted it. He's like, man, I saw the way he was throwing. I think Tyreek's situation is a little bit different than Devontae. And honestly, I think both of them are also. I think Devontae know he's going to get his numbers because Derek Carr is his guy. So much so that Devontae's contract allowed Derek Carr to get paid too.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Hill to me, I could understand because they don't really have a quarterback.
They don't in Miami. But Hill's situation, as far as him regretting it, what is he looking for? Tyreek Hill, we looked up his tenure so far in the NFL. 3 All-Pros or 4. 3 or 4 All-Pros. He's won the Super Bowl already. He's also gotten to a point to where his reputation is what it is. So I don't necessarily think he's going to regret it because at this point he chased the bag.
Well, I mean, he's not going to. He went for the money.
He did go for the money,
but he definitely stepped back from a football perspective
as far as the ability of his team and his quarterback.
The idea being that a wide receiver that gets comfortable with a quarterback, but then bounces, doesn't understand what they're walking away from because you can't just – that chemistry's not everywhere in the league. Everybody plays in the league doesn't mean they should be the guy for you. And if you've got synergy, and Irvin was saying, look, I had Troy. I didn't want to go anywhere else because I knew where the ball was going to be. I knew how it was going to hit my hands. I knew the timing of everything. We had it all down. Well, certainly Devontae and Aaron Rodgers had that, and Tyreek and Mahomes had that. We're still trying to find out if Tua can throw.
Yep.
Like in the NFL consistently, he's got the weapons to do it. But if the ball's not hitting Tyreek's hands at the right time and all these other things, that's going to cause him an extra challenge on the field. But at the same time, it's very clear he just wanted money. In this case, he wanted to get paid. He went to a state without a tax rate, which helps it. The difference, though, is Devontae's going to a situation I think he knows he understands a little bit better. I think Devontae made a move he felt like he could make. And he also knew his quarterback was like, yeah, I know Devontae's signing. I'm still leaving because I want to be the highest paid player in the league. Yeah. Like, at that point in time, Rodgers is giving it up at this point. Rodgers signed a deal to be the highest paid player in the game. Period, point blank, end of story. Didn't care who they could keep, who they could get. They got Sammy Watkins yesterday for $4 million.
Yeah, up to, yeah.
And, he's had health issues his whole career, but certainly he's in a spot where he could flourish if he's able to stay on the field. But I think that you just see a difference. Guys care about different things. Some care about money more than others, apparently, when you're talking about this level of money, because there are some guys that have taken discounts in order to stay in situations that they like, or in a case of like Derek Carr. Carr was just basically like, look, this deal is set up so that we can keep the guys that we need to keep. I mean, and he even named them. He's like, Chandler. He's like, I want to make sure Chandler can get paid. I want to make sure Devontae can get paid. I want to make sure all these things are in motion so that we can keep the guys that we need to keep. He goes, he's like, I hope we get to keep Hunter, meaning Renfro. So he's already speaking like what you ideally, I think, would hope your quarterback is talking like is, from a fan perspective, is it's not just about him.
Right.
It's about the entire situation.
I view him a little bit different. It's not that I'm ever overly positive about it or I don't have a negative take when it comes, honestly, to Tua also. If McDaniels is who we think he is as far as the head coach and offensive guru, and he can put in place this Shanahan-type offense, and they do it efficiently, meaning Tua has to pull his part too. I actually got a little bit more hope in Tua as far as his ability to be surrounded by these weapons that he has. I remember the process in which Miami was attempting to do under Flores when they acquired Isaiah Wilson. They have a group of young offensive linemen right now that are playing solid ball, real decent ball. Then they go get Teron Armstead, and then you kind of shore up that offensive line a little bit more. They've been putting in place for a couple years the ability to compete. The weapons that they added this offseason, I think, lends itself to that. I do think Tua will play better. What is better? Is it Patrick Mahomes? Probably not. But I think Tyreek being who Tyreek is, and if McDaniels can find his way to get him open, and Tyreek is he has enough time in this offseason to build a rapport with Tua, then I think they're going to be fine. I don't necessarily think his career is going to go into just space at this point. I don't think it's going to be over and done with simply because Tua has to bounce back this year. Last year was a little bit of a shaky year for him. Didn't start, was starting, and now it seems to me that it is his team. The other part of it is, if it ain't, then they got Teddy. I think Teddy being there kind of helps lends a little bit more to Tua. And if it's not going to be him, then you got a guy that's been proven in this league that can play a little while. I know Tyreek chased the bag, and he should have, just being completely honest with you. That was an amount of money that I don't think many players would have turned down. I just don't see that being the case. So he's set pretty much as far as his career goes. 3 All-Pros, 6 Pro Bowls, Super Bowl ring. That's why I think the comfort level for Tyreek is still pretty okay. Now it's a matter of how he deals with complacency a little bit, because he's accomplished pretty much everything you want to do except for getting over 10,000, 12,000 yards receiving. Can Tua get him to that point? Is yet to be seen. But I don't want to necessarily say he's going to tank it. He's going to regret leaving Patrick Mahomes, though, because I think even Patrick understands why. But I give a little hope towards what Tua ability is. He can spin the ball. It's a matter of him becoming a better pro is what we're looking at. And him, honestly, the way Tyreek and Patrick Mahomes freestyle. I think if Tua can move the pocket like that, and just place the ball in the area, I think he's going to be fine as far as his numbers go. And then he's got help on the other side, too, as far as wide receiver help with Waddle. So I feel Irvin by saying don't leave that quarterback. I'm 100% with him. But as creative as this offense can be in Miami, I think Tyreek's going to be fine. And I think
I need to see it first.
I'm with you. I'm fully with you. But I think they can be creative in that offense to get it going more than anything. They're supported, though. Run game, passing game. And you're right. Tua, he's got to do something. Their caveat, though, is they got Teddy. They got Teddy.
But neither one of those guys is Mahomes. That much we can agree on.
Yes, 100%. I will not deny that.
615-737-1045 is the telephone number. 737-1045. Today, Josh Ward, we'll talk some Vols and some SEC with him. Another Thursday night game against the Fighting Blaine Bishops. It'll be the opener this year.
Ball.
And Ty Dunne, who Bob McGinn over at his website started his draft notebooks, which he's done for many, many years. Ty's announced a book about tight ends. It's coming out later on this year. So we'll be able to chat with him about that, the draft, everything happening, what he thinks of some of these new situations for big-time players in the league.
I mean, who doesn't love tight ends?
It's phrasing.
It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. So if you're trying to paint your living room and you're having to wait, or maybe you just figure, it's probably not going to happen. You would like to have pets, but that deposit is just kind of looming over you. You're trying to get something upgraded inside the place, repair something that needs to be repaired, and just do it yourself instead of waiting for whoever it is that's contracted to do it or whatever, submitting some kind of request that's not going to be answered because the landlord, he's going to be all right. Renting gets old. Instead of sending that monthly payment to a pocketbook of somebody else, how about if you were putting it to work for you and a dream home? Buying a home, big decision. you've got to make sure you have people on your side that can help you from feeling overwhelmed, especially if it's the first time you've done this. If you're moving from renting to owning, it's a different universe. It's a good universe, but you don't want to be alone, and you're not. Talking with a mortgage expert helps you get on the right track, understand the process, helps you make a plan that utilizes your best options. As the Southeast's leading mortgage lender, Mortgage Investors Group here to help you get not just any loan, but the right home loan. They truly care. They want to make sure you get the home of your dreams, realize those dreams. They want to make sure that you're not going to miss that closing date, that everything is put together right, that it's structured right from top to bottom, and they want to get you from renting to owning as soon as possible. Let Mortgage Investors Group work for you. Go to migonline.com. That's your website, migonline.com. Find the office nearest to you, or you can text MIG to 31399. That's an easy way to get started with the pre-qualification process. MIG, again, those 3 letters, to 31399. That's Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan, equal housing lender, license number 109111. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 his own. Kyler Murray. Not playing without the deal being completed. So is he going to go back and scrub again? His social media? Schaefer, which I know you love.
Scrub away, son. Scrub away. Get the sand out of all those crevices.
Yeah. So the thing is, Kyler's pressing this deal, but what if they lowball him? Is it worth it then? You know, is it worth, like, are you trying to force them to pay you? Which
I'm going to tell you the truth about the Cardinals.
What's that?
They'll let them walk.
They'll let them walk?
I'm thinking they might, because they are. I heard this said yesterday. I had not really thought about it, but we all want to believe that every owner in the NFL wants to win. That's just not true. A lot of them just want to cash a check.
I've said that for so long.
And don't care.
Yep.
They might like it if it were to happen. Like, yeah, it's not like I don't want to win, but I'm not going to try. Like, I don't care. Doesn't matter. It's an investment. There are owners that you can clearly tell care. And then there are owners based on their behavior, the way they spend money, the way they don't spend money, who they let leave in this case, where you know. And you've known for a long time. Cardinals are cheap. For a long time, the Bengals were cheap.
Yep. Browns.
There are places where the fans care way more than the ownership. And then there's places where the fans and ownership are in synergy.
Yep.
And usually those are franchises that start to experience success.
Yes, sir.
For a while, Tampa didn't spend. Then they started spending a little bit. You see the results of that. But, yeah, we want to believe that everybody that owns teams or everybody that plays cares as much about it as you think you do. It's just not the way it is.
No, it's not. Right now, Arizona has about $6.4 million. They're under the cap, man. Kyler's situation is very interesting, man, because he's not even at the fifth-year option conversation just yet. And I think, again, he's probably looking at the risk he took to get to the point that he's at right now to be their franchise starting quarterback. And I'm just trying to make sense of it all to just continuously, whether it's him or whether it's his team putting out the narrative, look, I'm not going to play. And I'm thinking to myself, is that the best bet for negotiating? You might have the position of saying you're the guy, but Nuck wasn't there. You just signed, I think, AJ back again. So, and James Conner, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, why are we at this point already? Like, dude, it's going to take care of itself. If you go out and continue to crush it, or does he not feel like he's that guy? You know, I think that's the other part. Why is he pressed right now more than anybody? On the other end, you're not hearing Lamar say much at all about his deal.
I think in terms of Kyler, he thinks he has the leverage because
what?
You got Chandler Jones gone. You got Christian Kirk gone. You got Jordan Hicks gone. You got Chase Edmonds gone. You re-sign AJ, who was falling apart at the end of the season last year and who many people believed. I was reading Arizona website where they say they thought he basically retired on the job
Straight
at the
up.
end of last season.
Dang.
So what Kyler and his people know is that without him, they might be one of the 3-4 worst teams in the NFL this year because of the talent that they've let walk out the door. So Murray's agent had an offer out there, and a few weeks ago pulled it.
You pulled it. That tells you
They think it's worth more. Their number has gone up, both because of circumstances and because the Cardinals sat around and twiddled their thumbs.
Yeah.
So Kyler and his agent are trying to make a power play right now to see what can happen here. It's not a good situation between his representation and the team.
Right.
Especially considering this team is run by one of those owners that maybe just wanted to act like he cared about winning a couple years ago, but really doesn't.
Let me put it this way, though. Because so many teams want to get that quarterback and get maximum production when it's still at a lower contract value in those first 5 years. You could be the Cardinals and say, if this is what you want to pull and this is how you want to work, and then we're no longer able to take advantage of that exact scenario, and we look at the team that we have, and it's not the greatest.
Not the greatest.
And boy, they looked a lot better at the beginning of last season than they did at the end. The Cardinals could say, all right, we'll see you later.
They definitely could. Kingsbury, did you hear when Kingsbury said, finally Kyler's going to get a real offseason under his belt, and said that he's going to be mentored on leadership and mentored on relationship building.
Oh.
You know what you don't teach?
What's that?
Those things.
No.
That's something you either have or you don't have.
Yep.
And what did we hear for 2 years off the record about what was going on down there? Not really a team guy. He was a Kyler guy.
Yeah, he was a Kyler guy.
So that's what that's telling you. That's what Kingsbury is telling you here without saying it. Saying we need to teach him about the nuances of leadership and relationship building. That's what we're going to do in the offseason.
That's telling.
That's why I mentioned that.
That's telling.
What Schaefer just very casually said, a dude like that, where that's the kind of conversation you're having when you just got your extension, you're represented by the same guy. Kingsbury and Kyler both represented by
Burkhardt.
Eric Burkhardt. That's a guy you let walk.
Yeah. It doesn't, with those saying those types of things, let you know, like you said, his leadership. He's not the guy they thought he was inside of the building. Like I said, we've had conversations with people that say he's last one in, first one out type of guy. I've had people say, he's really worried about this contract. Like, he's really worried about. That's all he talks about is his contract. I'm like, you're just going into year 3. I understand the money to be made. I love seeing guys getting paid, broke off. And he plays a position that lends itself to be next up. But, of course, like you said, certain teams operate a different type of way. You're going to go as they say you can go, or you can just sit it out. And sitting it out does nothing but devalue you unless you're going to have somebody that's going to come up like the Browns did and give the world 4 quarterback they think they can win with. Now, you got to ask yourself, it's got to be very specific in where Kyler goes to. Simply because his size, how tall is he at this point? 5'9"?
It's got to be specific in terms of the right fit.
The right
but
fit.
Kyler doesn't have any power because Kyler doesn't have a no-trade clause. There's only 8 guys in the league. Now, Derek Carr, they actually gave one.
Yeah.
He actually has a no-trade clause. But, Kyler, if they wanted to,
Anywhere.
they could send Kyler anywhere.
Anywhere.
To go back to Jason's point from earlier, the Cardinals have never been known to be the most committed franchise in terms of winning, though I think they've done better in the past decade than they did previously. But Kyler already talking about a contract going into year 3 of this deal.
Yeah.
Okay? Into year 4. Year 3, doing all these quote-unquote antics in social media and his agent talking a lot through the media. Yeah, if you're the fans and you're looking at the Cardinals, of course you want them to be committed to win. But in this situation, if they were to go with the nuclear option and let Kyler walk, I'm not saying they're wrong.
Right.
Especially
this isn't AJ where we all want AJ to stay and we know he's committed to the team and all of those kinds of things.
Great teammate, all those conversations behind it.
And the only reason I mention that is to show the difference here. If I'm a Cardinals fan, I don't know how I feel about Kyler. I know what he can do on the field. I also know he hadn't done anything for me in the postseason yet, even with the team they put together last year. Now, they didn't have Nuck, so that matters a lot. But the attitude and all this, I'm like, are we just getting ourselves into mini Aaron Rodgers?
It sounds like it. It also sounds like they've read deep into the NFL books as far as how much money's been paid or something. I'm trying to figure out what, it's – I ain't gonna say it's super soon. It's very soon as far as him asking for this because, Josh Allen got his, and we expect Herbert to get his very soon, too. He hadn't got paid yet either, has he? Herbert to get his, but Lamar's the guy that's probably holding it up as far as Kyler goes. What contract could he suggest? Could he get? Spot Track has him at 6 years, a market value for him. 6 years. $258 million.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying him that. Not if what we have heard about him.
Yeah.
And even what his coach is sort of intimating here without intimating it.
He's not a leader.
$258 million for a guy that's very me first in the way that all the stories seem to be about that. Like, do you pay him and that all of a sudden fixes the problem? Usually it doesn't. Usually it makes it worse because it entitles the bad behavior as opposed to corrects it.
It just means you can't fire him.
Right. Like, why would I change if you just paid me $258 million?
So he was Offensive Rookie of the Year. You give him that. He had 3,700 yards his rookie year passing, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. His stats line up well for him. I got to give it to him. Other than that 48 sacks he had his rookie year, which a lot of it was caused because of him running out of bounds and trying to create it, not understanding it. I think he runs more into the conversation, Jay, as far as the ability to invest in him, as far as injury goes. Him getting out of bounds and taking hits, he's a whole lot smaller than Russ and Lamar and Josh Allen when it comes to the fact of running quarterbacks. I would worry about that. He's a guy that's going to forever create. He has protected himself somewhat by trying to get out of bounds more, but there's a risk in signing a guy this much that long term, and for this price, 43 M's, Jay. That's hats off to anybody that plays quarterback. That's all I got, but I don't think he's going to stronghold any ownership into forcing him into getting paid, man. I can't see it. And his agents will be pulling the offer the way he did, probably good for Kyler. But I don't see him forcing it this year. Not this year, Jay.
I mean, they don't have to.
And you got to ask yourself, are you really not going to go play with Nuck Hopkins? That's the other side of it. Like, a receiver can do that. Like, I'm holding out, and the quarterback, all right, well, I'll just groom another guy. If he want to put out the threat that he's not going to show up to training camp to play in the season, I think he devalues himself even more. This isn't a Deshaun situation where he's got, court cases pending and stuff like that. No, this is you saying, I'm not playing till I get paid. And as far as the quarterback goes, it sucks for you because you were just drafted to the wrong place. If that's the way the ownership manages things. I ain't going to say should have went to Buffalo because it wasn't his option, but Buffalo paid their guys early.
Well, but again, it's easy to dunk on Cardinals management because of their history, but in this situation, what else are they supposed to do here with Kyler? So I'm not breaking it off for him right now.
Not right now. He's about to go into year 4.
Yeah. It's Kyler and his agent getting super aggressive in their tactics in order to get a new deal because they may be worried about injury. They may secretly worry about Kyler not having the greatest attitude and play. It not being the greatest team in the world, so his numbers are going to go down. I sense their urgency, but that doesn't make it Arizona's emergency.
Wow, yeah.
Not when they're not going to win anyway.
Coming out of that West?
And they know it.
Probably not. They're much closer to an overhaul than they are a title.
Correct.
Yes, they are.
Last year was their year. If they were going to do anything, last year's when they had the pieces in place.
I'm all about him getting paid in that. Go and get everything that you can. But when this whole situation started a few months ago with the social media thing and the agent talking through the media, I went, whoa, hold up a little bit.
Well, here's the thing.
Slow down.
It seems like we're moving into this place where as soon as you realize you can pay me right now, or I'm gonna cause trouble. That's how it feels with this move. And we even talked about it. It's like, would you sit out before you played another down?
Ask Melvin Gordon
off
how
your
that
rookie
worked
contract.
out.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, he bet on himself and lost.
I know somebody said his conversation around that deal ruined that team that year.
Melvin tried to pull the Le'Veon, and it backfired spectacularly.
He said ruined the team because it was like, man, we were lined up to go on a run. Everything was set in place, and you decided to pull out. It's like, and the guys were like, I respect what you did, but it ruined the chemistry and outlook of that team because their guy wasn't in camp. And then it became a one side versus the other side of the locker room on what he should be doing versus what he shouldn't be doing, and it kind of just took him under, man. That's a hard take to have. So if the guys that's gotten paid in this class so far, it ain't many at all in this 2019 class.
And it really shouldn't be.
You got Kyler Murray, Nick Bosa, Quentin Williams, I don't think hadn't got paid. Cleveland Farrell, Devin White has yet to. Daniel Jones not. Josh Allen has. TJ Hockenson hasn't. Ed Oliver's not. Devin Bush is not. Jonah Williams is not. Rashawn Gary is just now coming into his own in Green Bay. Christian Wilkins, who's a stud D tackle in Miami, has yet to. Nobody has.
So look at this, okay?
And I'm not saying he should be judged off everybody else, but I'm just saying this class is not up yet.
2019 quarterback class, the one he was a part of.
Yep.
That was the draft here in Nashville. I sat there and listened to him speak at the podium. We sat there all night, and we got to hear from him and Nick Bosa.
That's it.
during like a 3-hour span because everything was taking forever
Yes, it was.
to get guys.
I worked
to the
that one
media.
too.
Yeah.
It was the longest day ever, Jay.
That Thursday just took
Yeah.
forever. But Kyler went number 1 overall, right?
Yeah.
He presided over what I look at right now as one of the worst quarterback classes
As far as production goes.
in terms of production. Drew Lock was the second guy off the board. R.I.P. Dwayne Haskins. Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Will Greer. Ryan Finley. Jarrett Stidham. Tyree Jackson.
Who? Tyree Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Tyree.
He went to Buffalo. You didn't need to worry about him in terms of what he was going to do. So Haskins went as the second quarterback. So you look at those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about the guys that went the year after. Burrow. I'm ready to pay Joe Burrow right now.
I can see Joe going to the next offseason getting paid easily.
I'm ready to pay Justin Herbert right now.
He's done it.
Tua, this is the year where he proves either you pay him or he's going to be back up the rest of his career. Probably.
Yeah.
Those guys are a year younger than Kyler, and I already feel better about them long term because I've seen more. And what you've heard about how they're conducting their business, leading their teams, things of that nature. Kyler's made it to the playoffs and Herbert hasn't. But you know what Herbert's talent level is. Herbert had not a great coach 2 years ago, and he's got a young coach in Staley who did some good things and then made some kind of weird analytical decisions at the end of some of those games. But Kyler right now, the money that they are asking for, or what you said with Spot Track, boy, I have a hard time committing $258 to that right now.
43 a year.
I mean, that doesn't feel totally wrong for what his upside can be, especially if Carr got 40.5 or whatever like that. I don't think Murray's the guy that resets it. He's not Baker Mayfield or something like that. I would need to know some of the things that we don't know because we haven't been there about what that experience is really like, what Kyler is actually like, and see it for ourselves. But he's a number 1 pick. And he does seem to be trying to force his hand in a way that I don't think he can.
I don't know if it's there for him right now. Not this year.
I don't either. And I don't know that that's going to endear him to the fans or provide them with what you want for a positive season because everything's about the contract. It's not really about what we're going to do on the field.
Game, yep.
And that's what you talked about with Melvin Gordon. That's the kind of thing that can break a team. And if it's a quarterback, good Lord, it's probably worse than a running back. Not probably. It's assuredly worse.
Yep.
615-737-1045 is the telephone number. 737-1045. We'll be back. We'll continue to talk about this. I have an off-the-beat topic that I wanted to get to a couple of days ago. We got derailed. I think we're going to have some fun with it. We will. I'll lay that out for you, and we'll talk about it some in the second hour. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Does your home suffer from constantly clogged plumbing? I hope not, because that's not fun. Nothing worse than reaching out to local plumbers time and time again to clear out old pipes. You're just flushing money down the drain. But there's an alternative. Lee Company. One of the only companies in our area to offer trenchless pipe replacement. Trenchless pipe replacement, it's yard friendly, it's innovative. It is a different way to replace old or broken pipes or gas lines. Unlike traditional processes, trenchless pipe replacement is far less messy, it's far less time-consuming, reduces headaches and hassles for homeowners. It helps get the necessary work done faster and for less money. Does that interest you? Getting this job done faster and for less money. If you want to learn more, the easiest way to do it, you can go to leecompany.com, certainly, or you can contact my friends over there today at 615-567-1000. Once again, 567-1000 or visit leecompany.com. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Smash cake number 2 yesterday for CG on her 1-year birthday. She didn't smash either cake. She just kind of ate around it, but there were also cookies that one of Abby's nurses had made, and they were really nice. They had like 1 year and her name on them and all this stuff. She just wanted cookie. She just kept on grabbing the number 1 cookie. She would reach over the cake, lean into the cake to get to the cookie on the other side of the cake.
She a real one. Hey,
I think I was smart.
kid likes snacks.
Well, I mean, the cake would have been a snack too.
She wanted the real snack.
I preferred the cookie over the cake.
Me too.
I don't think that's true.
Cookies over cakes all
I'm
day.
not a big cake fan.
Yeah, me. Hey, we finally agree on
I'm
something.
happy to have it when it's there.
Yeah,
But I prefer a cookie to
like
the cake.
eating a cake is a real commitment. Like,
Well, my favorite is the ice cream cake.
Yes,
Really?
I'm with you on that.
That's-
if I get my choice on my birthday,
It's always the ice cream
yeah,
cake.
with a chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
red velvet with the pecans on top.
any kind of ice cream cake. Doesn't matter. Any kind. Just do it.
Grandma make the best cakes.
Poll question: cookies, cakes.
Is that Hey, it's appropriate. It's Easter
Or
weekend.
Ice cream cake or cake. Could go
No,
that way,
cake
too.
and cookie.
Cake and cookie?
And then if cake wins, we can do ice cream cake. What
Okay,
kind
I
of
like
cake?
that. All right, we can do that.
All right, for sure. Are we about to do a Final Four?
Could do a Sweet 16. And
I mean, we're-
emphasis on the sweet.
We're going to do a summertime
Hey.
bracket of that guy. A revive
yeah,
of that
We
guy.
sure are.
we got new ones now.
Corey, line 1. What's going on, Corey?
What's up, Corey?
I'm definitely a cookie guy. Cake stuff.
Oh, Corey. Oh.
Well, we heard his
It's
answer.
horrible. They always go with cupcakes anyways.
Yep.
I can't believe Abby's a year old. It feels like y'all just had her.
CG's a year old.
CG's a year old. Abby is much older than a year.
She's a year old. Hey, y'all were talking about Colin Murray, and it kind of, for some reason, Marcus Mariota popped in my head.
Ooh.
And so I quickly looked at, like, just the win-loss. Now, I know Kyler won the Rookie of the Year, and he's got a few more accolades stats-wise, but their win-loss after 3 years is relatively close. And I look at Marcus, and I'm like, if Marcus would have pulled this move that Kyler's pulling after that 3rd year, as a Titans fan, would I have been like, pay that man? Because I don't think I would have. I really don't. And I know Kyler's trying to get his money because I really feel like he's trying to beat the curve because he's going to be injured. I feel like he could be injury prone the way he plays, his style, his size. So he's trying to beat that curve. But as a Titans fan, I wouldn't have paid Mariota. And I really hope that Arizona trades him to Pittsburgh so he can play a Ramon team so we can get at him every now and then. But, I look at that and I'm like, y'all said something about the leadership. That was something on Marcus's. Now, Marcus had a good work ethic, but we always heard Paul Kovarski and people say because he was so quiet, he lacked that assertive leadership in the huddle. And so it's a little different with Kyler. It's more of a character issue, and that's what's pushing. And that's what's pushing this. Pay me now, me before anybody else. But what have you done for me? If I'm an owner, you haven't. I'm worried about my brand, and the win-loss is connected to that brand.
Yeah.
And you really haven't shown me anything. I think Marcus has won a playoff game after year 3. Had Kyler?
No.
That's my thing. Maybe Marcus's first playoff game was after year 4, but still, he hasn't shown me enough to pay him, that type of money, that elite quarterback money. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Corey, I don't disagree with that last point in particular. Just that I have seen flashes of brilliance from Kyler, but I haven't seen sustained, consistent brilliance. And look, he definitely walked into a bad situation. They were number 1 pick for a reason.
Yeah.
They had drafted a quarterback in the top 15 the year before in Rosen and couldn't wait to get rid of him and made a hire in Steve Wilkes.
And fired him.
Didn't work
quick,
out.
Too, yeah.
Brought in Kingsbury, and Kingsbury came in and took the job because he knew he was going to be able to pick his quarterback.
And even still, with his record, Kyler's is as a pro is 22-23 and 1. And he's 0-1 the postseason. To Corey's point, man, made a great point about it. He's getting ahead of the curve.
I agree.
Again, I don't blame him because why? It's so much bread, Jay.
It is, but now you have the articles that are up. Look, if this continues, here are the 10 most likely landing spots. CBS from 10 to 1 for where Kyler could be.
I almost see him getting traded than actually sign an extension there.
I think you might be right. He's technically under contract through this year and possibly 23 with a fifth-year option.
Yeah.
Real quickly to what one person brought up in the chat, it's like, hey, why are you advocating for Big Jeff to get paid and not Kyler? Not saying that Kyler shouldn't get paid. What I think we've been saying here with Kyler is this is a heck of a power play move you're trying to pull right now when you might not have as much leverage as you think you do.
Advocating Big Jeff and Kyler because they were in the same draft. Well, the question marks about Kyler I don't have about Jeff.
Yeah.
That would be the first answer.
Jeff's already made an all-pro.
Right. And those whispers you hear about Kyler, you don't
hear none of those.
You
about
hear
Jeff.
none of those from Jeff.
Jeff.
And I mean, this can be broken up into 10 different ways now that we're speaking on Jeff versus Kyler.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who leads that Tennessee defense?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff.
And past that, what skill set is rarer?
Finding a trench monster the way you have with
Aaron
him.
Donald.
You see what I'm saying?
Finding an Aaron Donald-like guy where Aaron Donald's like, yeah, if it's not me, it's him.
So
Talking about him.
To that point, we can project Jeff to be very close to Aaron Donald or the next one up.
We can say he's top 3 at that position in the league and feel decent about that decision.
At least top 5. Where is Kyler?
Well, I remember last year, I didn't want to put Kyler over Ryan Tannehill
See what I'm saying?
going into the season. And right now, I think he's, 10, 8 to 10, maybe even a little low, like right there.
I would put him.
We'd have to go look at it.
Yeah, we would have to look.
I'd still put him in the same space as Ryan.
Yeah.
I'd say
I know everybody wants to kill Ryan because of the playoff game, but the guy is still basically the same quarterback I think that he was rated last year. He had a bad season with a ton of external factors involved in that. So before we hey, Ryan Tannehill's the 25th best quarterback in the league.
Listen to that voice.
No one said that. Yeah, that voice was something else. Right
No,
there.
but what the point being is that people want to just throw him out with the trash. It's like, no, he can still play, fam.
So here's your question, just in the background today. Go ahead and light up the chat with this, or tweet us at JMart and Ramon, and we'll continue down this line of inquiry about the 25th best quarterback. We come back out of the headlines.
Y'all sound like that to me. You know what else y'all sound like?
What album, no skips? What album from your childhood or even now, you never have to skip anything? You think that list is longer than it actually is. Because if you actually think about it, track 11, I don't know, that one's out. If you have to think about it, it's the album that you can put on from start to finish. Shuffle, doesn't matter. You're not going to be disappointed at any track. That list is short, and it's going to be generational. It's dependent on when you grew up, how old you are. I think there's going to be a lot of good answers here, and it's going to remind us of a lot of good music and probably put us in a good mood and a bunch of albums this weekend. So we'll talk about that sort of in the background and have some fun with it. More of your phone calls, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. If you have been noticing things around your home that just seem like you've got some issues, right? Like your steps, you just know they're not level anymore. You got a door that won't stay closed in your house, no matter what you do. Maybe you're using a bungee cord or something like that to keep it tied down. I've actually heard of things like that. You've got drywall that's separating. You've got bricks that are cracking. All these things. They could be serious. Maybe they're a little overrated in your head, but you got to have somebody that can actually cut between the wheat and the chaff. And that's United Structural Systems. When it comes to foundation issues, nobody better. Over a quarter of a century right here in our community, off the charts reputation and integrity, and locally owned, not a franchise. They love our area. They love this radio station. They love, when I was up there, they were just talking about the Titans and talking about the Vols and just talking about the NFL in general. So they're good people. But how about being trustworthy people that are just going to tell you what's going on and are willing to say, yeah, you don't really need us right now. Maybe we'll look at this in 6 months, keep an eye on it. Let's make sure nothing else happens. But right now, you know what? That's not really that bad. Most companies aren't going to do that. Most companies have to give you some kind of quote when they come out. That's not always the case with United Structural Systems. So that right there tells you that's the only phone call you need to place when it comes to this stuff. They give you a detailed free estimate before you have to make a decision, and then they work. You don't. And at the end, yeah, you pay. But after the job is done, it's much easier. Over 22,000 satisfied customers can tell you United Structural Systems is the place to call. 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275 or online at ussTN.com. United Structural Systems.
7:03. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Nashville Predators, well, their playoff push a little bit of a skid last night as the Oilers defeated the Preds 4-0. Leon Draisaitl netted a hat trick for Edmonton. The Preds host Chicago tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. local time. Padres over the Braves 12-1. Atlanta committed 3 errors. The Braves have lost 2 in a row, 4 of their last 5. 8:40 first pitch tonight in San Diego. The Sounds beat Gwinnett 5-4. Nationals won 2 in a row. For the second consecutive year, Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Vols will play their season opener on a Thursday night. This time, September 1st against Ball State, 6 o'clock Central Time kick on SEC Network. Green Bay Packers have signed wide receiver Sammy Watkins to a 1-year deal that reportedly could be worth up to $4 million. 2 play-in games for the 8th seed in the NBA tonight. Atlanta at Cleveland, 6:30 tip for that. Darius Garland, of course, playing for the Cavs. New Orleans at the LA Clippers, 9 o'clock tip for that. Tomorrow, Western Conference playoffs with Minnesota at Memphis, 2:30 tip for that one. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 2, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors right here in Nashville. Mid-April already.
Goodness.
My daughter's a year old. I don't know how that's possible, but it's the truth.
It is.
Got her this thing now she can stand behind and push and walk.
She's ready.
She's not ready to not have your hand, but yesterday she did manage to. At one point, she took a step without realizing she wasn't touching anything. Then she realized it and went and grabbed something.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably not a month away.
Nah, you're a little bit closer than that, Jay. And that's when all hell breaks loose.
Already is. She was staring real hard at the nightlight yesterday to try and go for that outlet.
Oh.
So here we go. Here we go.
Hey, that's scary as a parent.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of things that are scary as a parent.
You know how many times I've imagined like my little cousins or whenever I was babysitting like my little brother and sister, them touching the daggum outlet.
We're going to get to these phone calls here in just a moment. That's Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, of course, Jason Martin, at Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Backup question that I threw out there. No Skips album. It's an album that from top to bottom, even if you can play it on shuffle, I can make it even harder on you and say you've got to be able to name all the tracks in order to be able to do it. Because if it's a No Skips album, you should know everything on it.
Let's not do that one, Jay. That is unfair.
That would shorten your list tremendously. Mm-hmm. But I already see a lot of stuff coming in there, and a few of them were my top choices as well. So that's good. So we're going to continue to talk about that throughout the course of the show. Throw yours out there, and we will name some of ours. But let's get to a couple of these calls. Go to Todd in Columbia. Todd, what's up?
What's up, Todd?
Good morning. Ramon, die-hard Steeler fan since the mid-'70s.
Man, sniped.
No!
I'm just kidding. He's still there. I just put him on hold. It was phony snipage. It was for fun. Every Titans fan is like,
not really that.
Todd, I had to do it just for fun. You go right ahead.
Okay. I am used to it, as I'm sure Ramon is also.
We are. We don't even mention it. That's how it is, Todd. Go ahead.
No, I mention it. I got in fights in the schoolyard over whether Staubach or Bradshaw was the better quarterback.
Oh, I feel you, man. Golly, Todd. I appreciate the call this morning, man.
Okay, Ramon, I need you to talk me off the ledge, because I said that because after Bradshaw retired, the Steelers went into more than a decade of mediocrity during the 80s. It was terrible. And are we looking at that now, or are we looking at maybe something worse like the Dolphins, who've had nothing since Marino retired?
Yeah.
I know Ben was a generational quarterback, but the draft is weak. Juju's gone. The Bengals have actually got a quarterback now. It's what are we looking at here in Pittsburgh for the next few years that you think? Now, just be honest with me. Don't blow smoke up my skirt. I just need to know so I can set myself up.
Well, Todd, by the way, I don't want you wearing a skirt, first and foremost, okay?
I was about to say, I don't need to know about Todd.
I mean, unless you want to.
I know.
It's up to you.
Yeah, it is up to him. And you know
Steelers
what?
fans wear skirts.
It's all. Don't see. I knew
Call
that
it
was.
kilts.
That's why I tried to defend him right there. I knew you would say this. Call it kilt. Thank you, Shafe. But to that point, not blowing smoke up to. I think they're supported. I think they have a defense in place, a lot like what the Titans are really going through in the sense as far as if you got people around that can support you, then you'll be fine. I think Pittsburgh's defense is pretty solid. They got stability as far as head coach and just a tradition of you're always going to get the best ball out of them unless you just playing down to an opponent, which happens once or twice a year, even when I was playing. So to say that Mitch is going to be Ben, I don't think that's the case. I think you're going to get very creative when it comes down to offense. You have to. The offensive coordinator there, Matt Canada, has to prove that he deserves his job this year. That's what I would give you. To say somebody's going to chase a Hall of Fame quarterback and just pick up where they left off, like you said, it's hard to do. It's hard for any franchise to find a quarterback in general. So to say that you're going to just keep transition from one to another, it doesn't happen that way. Look at what Indy keeps doing. Look what Denver keeps doing. Look what all of these organizations that's trying to find a quarterback do until they find the right one. And that's why you have teams like Cincinnati and Buffalo and Kansas City, that when they get their guy, they lock them up, they surround them as quick as they can and try to get a Super Bowl. So will it be 15 years of just death? I don't think so. But Jay brought up the point too about if anybody's going to get a quarterback these days, that's a good team, even the Titans, you're going to have to probably trade some capital away. And like you said, the Kyler conversation, who wants him? Where can he fit? I think that's what we're going to see more than anything this day and age of trying to transition from being a good team consistently to continuing that on after your franchise guy leaves. It's tough, man.
The toughest place to be is to have a mediocre quarterback that never gives you a chance to draft in the top 5.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a rocket science. You can still screw up in the top 5. But to get that guy, to get a Joe Burrow, you have to be horrendous.
You got to be bad.
I mean, that's how the Colts got super lucky to get luck, because they had a year of Curtis Painter in between Peyton Manning and all. They were able to bottom out and do what they had to do. You've either got to give up a haul, or you're just continually going to be moving from mediocrity to I've got to take this guy at 26, or I've got to take this guy at 18. Most of the time, that becomes treacherous.
Think about it real quick. Romo to Dak. I love Dak as a person and as a player too, but is he generational?
No, neither was
you
Romo.
Know what I'm saying? Being fair to him.
I mean, Romo was playoff-ish guy.
But he was good enough so that they weren't picking in the top 10.
And look, the Titans have that problem because Tannehill's not going to be bad enough to put you at the bottom.
There we go. Can you be a Super Bowl winner and not be generational?
You got to be surrounded.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
But it goes to the organization.
But the margin for error is greater.
Yeah. And
we know.
And the the organization got to sell out too, as far as wanting to be a championship organization too.
Jermaine, what's up, Jermaine?
What's up, Jermaine?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Hey,
I just want to expand on something that somebody said earlier when they were talking about Ryan Tannehill. It's like nobody ever considers the external factors. I mean, how many games did AJ show up for last season? Right?
Yeah.
How many games did Julio Brown show up for?
None.
2.
Right. We got 3 tight ends. It's not worth a quarter. But Spain, Ferguson, I can't even think of some other guy's name. Our number 1 receiver was some guy named Westbrook Akina. No fan knows him outside of the Titans fan base. I mean, come on. And then yesterday, y'all even said we run the ball on first down.
Yeah.
I mean, we're leading the league. It's not even close. We're even the second team or whatnot. So, the offense is predictable. You have no receivers. Every great quarterback has a tight end. So y'all tell me, what the hell was Ryan Tannehill supposed to do?
That's fair.
Now, I'll admit he did have a bad season, but look what was surrounding him.
Fair.
and I'll hang up and listen to y'all.
Hey, was Jermaine, sorry to cut you off there, but was AJ and Julio and all those guys playing in the playoff game?
Yeah, they were.
I'm just going to throw that out
We're
there.
talking about two different things, though.
We're not talking about the regular season. He was fine in the regular season. He's
Tannehill?
always fine to good in the regular season.
Right, but what I'm saying is that you do have to separate the two topics. You do. Because often they get combined. Tannehill's a trash quarterback. He's not good enough. No, he's still a pretty good quarterback.
He's not going to overcome other problems, though.
And there have been times in regular season games that he has. Now, his playoff record speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So the thing is that what I'm saying is that it's not either all bad or all good. We just have to remember, there were some external factors that he had to deal with. As Brian McFadden mentioned earlier this week, the legacy of Ryan Tannehill right now, until it gets changed, is 3 interceptions.
That's right.
That's what it is.
That's right. And he had his weapons in that game.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't
And
disagree with
last
that.
year,
Yeah.
he had his weapons
Mm-hmm.
and lost to the Ravens in the playoffs.
The previous year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And scored 13 points.
Don't disagree with that either. Both things can be true.
Facts is facts. I like I told you, I was going to try to be on the defense for him, but
I'm not even saying I'm defending him. I'm just saying, okay, let's fill in this photo a little bit more.
Tyler Dunne, golongtd.com. We'll talk NFL with him. We'll talk to him about Tannehill a little bit, but Kyler, I think, is more interesting to me right now and what's going to happen there and just getting Ty's thoughts on everything happening in the NFL. We'll do that next. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, so spring is clearly here, and if your lawn is not where it needs to be, you got to have somebody that can help you get to that spot, and the answer is Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Whatever it is, fertilizers, seeds, pre-emergence, herbicides, advice to help you DIY it, or advice on who you need to contact on some specific things, it's Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. My lawn looks great this year because I had the right people come out last year and help us put it together. And right now it's it's got more green than everybody else in the neighborhood. And it's because Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply set me up. Trimming bushes, cutting grass, trying to keep those weeds, those insects out of your landscape. They've got it all. And they've got now 9 locations to serve you. Nashville, Cool Springs, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, Franklin, Brentwood Lawnmower over near me, Knoxville, and coming soon to Maryville. This is where you want to go. They've got the know-how. They've got all the parts. Everything that they sell, they also service. So it really is a one-stop shop. Parts, products, best advice, Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, and online, dickenssupply.com. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. I know we had a couple on the line and wanted to tell us their No Skips album. We're going to do that. You can call us 737-1045. We've got Ty Dunne here in just a second. But, yeah, the album that you can hit shuffle on it, it's probably something you owned on CD. Let's be real.
Tape. Yeah.
Or tape for me.
Man, my CD cases got stolen, man.
I got one in the car right now. But now I've got a car. This is crazy. So my car now, if I put a CD in, it records to a hard drive. I didn't even know there was a hard drive, but there's a 16-gig hard drive in the stereo. I just put the CD in, it automatically records it there in the highest def audio, and then I don't need the CD anymore.
So can you change like your SD card to store more on there?
I don't think so, but maybe.
It's probably somewhere where you got
16
SD
gigs
card.
Is a pretty good bit, though. That's a lot to have just
Bumblebee?
there. No, but I was really surprised by that.
Awesome.
I was like, really?
Pretty
I
much.
mean, I'm sure there's stuff that's way fancier than that, and people are like, yeah, that's not that impressive. But to me, that's pretty impressive.
There's not much fancy stuff than that.
I know why you're saying that, Moan.
You are at the top.
To the Marks Fan Real Estate Hotline we go. GoLongTD.com is one of our favorite websites. Tyler Dunn's one of our favorite guests. Ty, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me back. What's been happening?
A lot of football because the NFL has decided to make its schedule so that there's not a time in which something's not happening. My wife asked me, why do they not reveal the schedule until a few weeks after the draft? We're trying to make plans for the fall. And I'm like, so that you have something to talk about in May. That's why.
Screw everybody's family plans, right? They need to stretch this out and make it a bonanza where there's no bonanza to be had.
What's the most interesting thing to you right now happening around the NFL, Ty? What's got your attention?
Ooh, there's a good question. You know what? I guess in the moment right now, this Baker Mayfield thing is pretty interesting. You guys have probably been talking about it. Everybody has a fairly strong opinion on the matter. I don't know. I tend to look at the human element of this all and knowing, some people on both sides of this equation, Baker Mayfield's camp, the Cleveland Browns. I think that Baker has a right to be ticked off here, in terms of, all right, he was all in on this fifth year. Let's see where this thing goes. He had a record-setting rookie year, most passing touchdowns ever for a rookie, a cluster you-know-what of a second year with Freddie Kitchens and Odell, and it just blew up in their face. But then he takes them to the playoffs. And not just any team, it's the Cleveland Browns. Team Ramon spent, a good amount of time beating up there with the Steelers. This has been a joke of a franchise, and he played a huge part leadership-wise and on the field. And then, obviously, last season it went back to being bad. But he played all season, kind of beat the hell. I mean, the labrum was torn. He had a heel. He had a groin. He had just about everything. But he played through it when he probably should have tapped out. I don't know. I just think that, privately and publicly, they told Baker Mayfield, hey, we want to see where this thing goes this year. You're our guy. And then they, bent over backwards for Deshaun Watson and just tried to woo him at every turn. And I get it. We've talked a lot about him. A lot's changed, I think, since we've talked about him. But from a human element to bash Baker Mayfield is not an adult to Chris Mortensen and then open your arms to somebody who's accused of vile behavior and things that we can't even really say on the radio here. It's kind of sick.
When it comes to fair or not fair, if Baker had not played last year, would we be having this conversation about Deshaun and Cleveland, Baker not being able to be traded? Like, was it Baker's fault? Was the organization, was it his coach's fault for not saving him or what?
Yeah, I think they probably should have saved him, right? He probably still was their best option. I mean, Case Keenum's a good backup, but I don't think he would have done that much better than Baker Mayfield did out there. And let's not forget, it's the Browns, the Titans, and the Saints are the three teams that have a right to complain about injuries here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were slammed pretty bad by COVID, and injuries on top of that. So that didn't help when he had the supporting cast he did around him. I mean, they were down to third and fourth stringers at one point for a couple weeks. So I don't know. You add it all up, and yeah, you know what? You're probably right. They probably should have saved him from himself. And they said, hey, if they really did value him and they really did want to see what he could do in that fifth year, they probably would have. But maybe, that's where it's a little more sinister. Maybe early on they just decided, okay, whatever he does out here, we're going to move in a different direction, whether it's Deshaun Watson or anybody else. Who knows? I mean, maybe if they didn't get Deshaun Watson, they might have kept swinging. They might have drafted somebody. They might have moved on. It's hard to take them at their word when, I think he has a right to feel lied to. I get the other side of it too. Like, it's a business. It's a ruthless business. But every so often, it's okay to take a deep breath and remember that these aren't just names and robots, plugged into a fantasy lineup. These are human beings, and hey, if you're not treated right, I think you have a right to be ticked.
So Baker Mayfield played at Oklahoma. So did Kyler Murray. Both of them won Heisman's. Kyler's situation this offseason has also been interesting. Now you got teams monitoring whatever's going to happen. Apparently the new report is he won't play until he gets paid. I don't know that he can control that, but he's attempting to control it. If the number originally was around $43 million and now they want more than that, has he proven enough to be worth $43 million at the quarterback spot? If you're a team, and there are at least some indicators of red flags as it relates to his leadership ability.
It's too bad, that you can't just take the physical ability and the athleticism of a Kyler Murray and kind of pair it with Baker Mayfield's leadership and toughness and all that. Then you might have the perfect quarterback.
Right.
I think there is, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a hell of a lot of smoke. I think there's absolutely fire. Just from what I've heard is, there is some concern about the leadership and the intangibles and all that other stuff. I don't think they question his ability and how he fits into the offense and what they can do. Look, at the end of the day, what's your better option at quarterback if you're Arizona? I mean, Kyler Murray does have leverage here to want more money because Arizona isn't going to want to hit reset and start all over. They've got a really good talent, but I think Arizona wants to see more before they just shell out that kind of money.
Right.
And if Kyler Murray's looking for money in that ballpark, that other stuff does matter. I mean, you better be more vocal and you better be more of a leader. He's been kind of described to me as aloof and distant at times, which out of your franchise quarterback, that's not what you want at all. So I think that they're going to want him to really look in the mirror and kind of address that this offseason, because 2 years in a row for things to kind of crumble down the stretch, that stuff matters. I mean, that probably was a factor.
So Ty, when it comes to looking in the mirror, Cleveland Brown fans going to have to look in it real soon, because I got to ask you now, it's been what? Is it close to a month we're getting where Deshaun has been traded and signed for $46 a year? How is that fan base up there now coping with the fact that he's going to be there? Are they optimistic about winning and choosing to forgive, or is it still, no, we don't like this?
I think it's a mixed bag still, but I think the Browns are counting on time, right? I think they're just hoping that with time, people just kind of let the details of those accusations kind of fade off into the ether. And that happens. I mean, it does. I mean, there's been players accused, caught on video, doing awful things, worse things. And, Sunday comes, they score a touchdown and everybody cheers. So it'll probably get to that point. It's just too bad. I don't think we should just kind of skip on past this like it was nothing. Jenny Ventress at Sports Illustrated, she's been covering this stuff extensively. I would implore everybody to go read her stories and just see what he's accused of, because at best it's creepy, like unbelievably creepy. At worst, I mean, he should be locked up. And this is the kind of stuff that I don't think any of us saw coming. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, having gotten to know family members and teammates and coaches, and you think you kind of know somebody when you really don't. So it's a good lesson down those lines. But, yeah, I think it's about winning. I mean, really, the Browns, they should have just sat there. Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, and I think they've done a great job. I mean, turning the team around. They're led by some really good people. But, I mean, Jimmy Haslam and Dee Haslam, they really should have just sat there and said, this is about winning. We don't care about anything else. And when we win, people just be honest. Just don't play everybody for fools and say you did this exhaustive, extensive background check when you really didn't. I mean, they didn't. So I don't know. It's football, and it's about winning. And I wish I didn't have to be as sinister and cynical and all this, but I think that's what it boils down to.
How many stories do you think you're going to be writing this year about the resurgent Washington Commanders and their stud quarterback Carson Wentz?
Oh man, probably not a lot. And hey, this is where I got to raise my hand, and I was a Wentz believer.
Me too. At first.
At first, yeah.
Yep.
It seemed like a perfect fit with the run game, with Frank Reich, with that defense. Even when he had the injury early in the season, it seemed like he was trying to play through it, and his game can be a little exhausting. It seems like everything could be he's making it way harder than it needs to be, but he'd get the ball there, and they'd get a 50-yard defensive pass interference penalty here and there. That usually helps. But his numbers were pretty good, and lo and behold, they lose to Jacksonville, and all this stuff comes out that he's this awful leader, and they couldn't wait to get rid of the guy. There's something there, I guess, that we all missed because they couldn't wait to get rid of him without any plan B in place. And now he's in Washington. He's on to his third team. It's hard to just see things clicking, but there is some talent there, I guess. So when a guy's talented and he's got a big arm and there's something there to work with, that he always has a chance.
So him saying that, I'm going to back that up real quick. I did believe in Carson in Philadelphia, not in Indianapolis, not in Indy. That one didn't surprise me very much at all. I want to make sure it was known that I never believed in him as a Colt.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was an upgrade over Rivers. That there's that throw that Rivers had against the Bills in the wild card, 4th down to Pittman, corner of the end zone, just missed him. It just was like, okay, you're going to upgrade to a guy, younger, bigger arm, who can make that throw, that play for your team. And I guess that's kind of the theme of this show, right? Like, it comes back to the leadership and the intangibles. That stuff matters, and Rivers had it in droves, and I guess Wentz didn't.
So when it comes down to this quarterback league that we're in right now, one quarterback in particular, well, it's actually two, but one that we're really going to focus on, Aaron Rodgers lost a huge weapon. But he's also probably the highest paid quarterback this year and in the history of the football NFL. What is Green Bay going to be this year? I know he's dynamic, but is Aaron Rodgers in the Temptations at this point? Like, is his show. So what is it going to look like?
Yeah, he's in the NFC North, and every other team seems to be in this rebuild or reset. I don't know what the Vikings are, what their plan is exactly. I mean, I guess they're running it back with Kirk Cousins, but winning the division shouldn't be a problem for Aaron Rodgers. And when you win the division, you got a chance of that number one seed. It's the NFC is not exactly the AFC. I think they'll still win a lot of games without Davante Adams, and they've got a really good running game if they can stay healthy with Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. The problem I have, though, is those receivers in that offense, it's time-tested. Like, Jordy Nelson didn't really turn a corner until about the third or fourth year. Yeah, that Super Bowl against you guys, I think that was when it kind of started turning for him. Sorry.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
He started seeing the same thing as Aaron out there. It's that nonverbal communication, the kind of just back shoulder throws on the fly. DeMarquez Valdez-Scantling, when we sat down a year ago, when he described it as, like we've got Matt LaFleur's playbook, but he calls a play, and Aaron can just change it to whatever he wants. Like, he's got total autonomy on the fly to change plays, and he's changed plays at times to stuff like from years before the guys who were on the field with him even played. So, I mean, his knowledge is insane, and he's just tapping into different plays and different moments, and that's how you get what you got with Jordy Nelson and Davante Adams at their peak. I mean, that's why it just seems to come so easy. How do you just get that out of thin air with a couple of rookies? I like Sammy Watkins. To get him at $4 million for 1 year, that's a steal. If he can stay healthy, huge if, but help. I think it's going to have to be a conservative offense, not a big play offense, and you're just going to have to win in some different ways and hope Aaron Rodgers can make some magic in the fourth quarter. I don't know if anything's going to change in January. I mean, a decade at this where he kind of fall short in the playoffs. I don't know if they got over that hump this offseason.
Yeah.
Ty, tell us about the football position, tight end, because I know that you have taken a pretty big interest in that, and you've got a pretty awesome project we're looking forward to checking out in the fall.
Oh, thanks so much for the plug. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I just feel like the tight end position is football. I mean, you got to block, you got to hit, you got to be violent, yet you're still going downfield trying to burn a 200-pound DB up the seam one play, and then you got to take out a 300-pound DN the next. There's nothing like it in sports. It just really fascinates me that, you know, the sport itself is kind of kept alive through the tight end. So for this past year, I've just been hanging out with all these tight ends. With Mike Ditka down at his golf course in Florida. Threw back a couple of drinks with Jeremy Shockey down in Miami. That was wild, as you can imagine. Tony Gonzalez, the whole crew, Ben Coates. I think there's a lot of tight ends, and everybody kind of played a role in preserving that violence that we love about football. And yeah, I just feel like rule to rule, season to season, everything kind of gets a little more sanitized and a little softer, and we want to all throw our remotes across the living room because we don't like where the game's going. But I think football will always be football because of this player, and every single one of them have just an unbelievable story to share, and a lot of war stories that people haven't heard before. So, yeah, October will be out. You can pre-order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get your books. Right now, it's up.
Cool flex right there by dropping all those Hall of Famer names like that, Ty, don't you say?
Hey, we got to learn about the position. You got to sit down with the greats. So, and they were, you know, I'm not taking any credit. They were unbelievable with their time.
Yeah.
And really, they were willing to sit down. I think it was like Dallas Clark. We probably talked 5-6 hours over the course of a couple of days. Like, they want to share their stories and where they come from, and so many of these players, they just intertwine, and they had the same coaches, or they ran the same kind of routes, or they had the same type of inspirational moments. It was a lot of fun, I'll tell you that.
That's cool, man.
I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm definitely looking forward to reading it in the fall. Hey, that's my birth month. October is my birthday.
Nobody cares.
Well, Mo, it's an easy, cheap gift. It's an easy, cheap gift. It's probably an inexpensive way to make me happy in October, is all I'm telling you.
There we go. Ty, I won't be getting Jason that book. I'll be buying it for myself.
There we go. All right. He's going to get multiple for all the family members.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Ty, we appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Always appreciate the time. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, that's Ty Dunne. GoLongTD.com is a highly recommended subscription.
Ty is good, man. I like Ty. I remember him walking around Pittsburgh's locker room. Solid dude.
No skips. Should ask Ty that.
God, we missed out on that one.
No skips. Album that you don't have to skip anything on.
I got
just
a few
play it, period.
already.
Oh, I do too. I got a decent list. 615-737-1045. That's your telephone number. 737-1045. What are you laughing at, Mom?
I hit the mic and Shake just says in my ear, idiot.
Idiot.
I punched it like I was Mike Tyson.
It's definitely a Friday. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way we did them, and it just stayed that way for what felt like forever. Well, that's what happens when it comes to selling your house. You got to list your house, and you got to keep it show ready and clean and just presentable, because you never know when somebody want to come by for a quick look. Or you got dozens of people just marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying your home. And this goes on and on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all changed thanks to Open Doors. And it's Ramon Faulston. I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com and put in my address and home info, and I got an offer back to my email in no time. Open Door takes a look at your house along with recent sales in your neighborhood to come up with a very competitive offer, a real offer with no listings, no strangers, no stress, and a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is a new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You'll know how much you'll get. And the thing is, you can close when you are ready and you can do everything online. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies, and Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc. License 020611130 in California, Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and its other markets.
Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, exclusive from the Tennessee, and we'll talk about at the top of the hour about the stadium. Not terribly surprising, just get ready.
A little bit of a fast track.
But I did have a complaint. Well, not really a complaint, but I had a pushback from someone Abby works with who listens. I guess a lot of people listen, so we're told. And they weren't happy with some of the things we didn't talk about in regards to the stadium. So we talked about that a little bit. No Skips albums. We came back to Stone Temple Pilots. That was Sour Girl. That's off their fourth. That's off number 4, which is an underrated album. Probably wouldn't be on the list of No Skips, even though it's a pretty good one. No Skips is it's tough because that means you're not going past skits back in the day, which used to be all over the place.
Huge skit guy.
And a lot of skits were terrible, and they would break up the flow. And it's just got to be something where you're never going past any song. And I think that shortens the list pretty considerably. Now, it can go across genre, obviously, and I think it's just generational. And I think the older you are, the more apt you are to have a longer list, because if you had a tape, you weren't fast-forwarding it all that often because it wasn't convenient. If you had vinyl, it wasn't super easy to go song to song. CDs and stuff at a push button now, it's a lot easier to skip. Mm-hmm. It's what it's called, skipping. I mean, you're skipping a track. You're not really skipping a tape. You were fast-forwarding. You were moving on. It's a lot different now. And so I think that it encourages, if something doesn't hit in the first 30 seconds, you just move on, go to something else. Not to say that there aren't no skip albums now. It's just that I think most people it's got to be immediate. And a lot of albums grew on you. Yeah. As a kid, you would get it. Maybe you need to listen to it 3-4 times straight through before it really hit you the way you wanted it to hit you. So a lot of answers here. And Schaefer gave me a few when I was walking in the hall, and I agreed with a good many of those. I'll just name one, and then we can move from one on. And I bet you we will have some overlap here.
Let's go. Who's your one?
I think that, I think it starts for me with Pearl Jam's debut, just because I could sit here and name it all for you in order. I listened to it walking in the afternoons after school when I was in 6th and 7th grade. Yeah. I thought it was one of the greatest debut albums of any type that's ever happened. It set them on a pace to sell 30 million albums and still be going, 30 years later. Yeah. It was basically a perfect album. I mean, if you start just side one, you go from Once into Even Flow, which was a hit, into Alive, which was a hit. Why Go's a great track, you into Black, which was a hit, into Jeremy, which was a hit. That's just the front side. Then you flip the tape over. Oceans was solid, into Porch, which was not a hit because it didn't become a single, but is a huge fan favorite song, into Garden. And it was 10 tracks, and it was just daggone perfect. And so that's probably the first one that comes to mind for me. But like I said, there's probably, I don't even know the number. I'd have to sit down and really think about it, but that was the first one that came to mind. So that's actually where I got the topic from, was just thinking about how good a record that was, start to finish. A lot of people perfected their stuff later on. They were good right out of the gate.
Mine, and I would have to go Young Jeezy's
101.
Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101. Just from the moment I heard it all the way till now, it still makes playlists with some of the songs on there. And when I say I can hear the intro and go from beginning to end of it with no skips, even with some of the offbeat songs, no skips. Don't Get Caught, no skips. All the way through, no skips. Another one to me, I'll give you two before we go into the break. Jay-Z's The Black Album. From beginning to end, it was like a celebration album, which it was supposed to be his retirement album. And I know Metallica has the Black Album, right? But Jay's The Black Album, to me, introduced me to more New York rap, more lyricism, just more appreciation of beats, production, samples, all of that. Jay-Z Black Album, Young Jeezy's TM 101, Let's Get It. Thug Motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Those two for sure. And I got a few more that.
Yeah, we got more.
We got to get more into this one.
Yeah, the first hip hop one I mentioned to Schaefer was Doggy Style.
Yeah.
Again, tape. I did end up with a CD of it too.
The tape.
But that thing, because Chronic 2001 was such a long album, because it had like 20-some tracks on it.
Yeah.
There's probably a skip or two on there, as great a record as that is. I'd have to go back and think about it. But Doggy Style was just from start to finish in terms of just hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. And he never came close to doing that again.
Not that.
Not nothing. No.
Not that.
All right, so no skip albums. That's what it means. It means you're not skipping any track, anything that is on that album. What's on your list? 615-737-1045. News on the stadium from the Tennessean. We'll tell you that after the headlines on the Zone. If you're wearing contacts and glasses and you're just tired of it, there is a better way, and it's called LASIK. And there's a place to go, and it's LASIK MD. It's where I went. I'm now testing at 2015 in both eyes, which is just unreal. My left eye, contacts never even worked for me. I tried them 2-3 different times during my life, including around my wedding, and I could do it when I was outside, but if I was inside, I couldn't see anything. Like, it was low light. I was getting dizzy. I would always be nauseated. Just wasn't going to work for my specific situation. So LASIK was always something that I wanted. Hopefully I was going to be a candidate, but it's something I always wanted to do. But if you've been on the fence about it, get off the fence. It's a really fantastic thing. And LASIK MD, over 1 million done in North America, 80,000 for Dr. Greenberg, who did my procedure. A whole lot of our listeners are going and getting a free consultation at LASIK MD. And I want you to be the next one. I love hearing those updates from them every week. LASIKMD.com is where you go. With a K. LASIKMD.com. Schedule a free consultation. They'll tell you if you're a candidate. Then they're going to find a way to make it affordable for you. It's never been more affordable. The technology's never been better. Just being able to see out of your own eyes. Just knowing I got sunglasses in the car that I can put on when I need to, but I don't have any prescription stuff anymore. I don't have to worry about fog. I don't have to worry about scratches, all that. I'm just seeing through my own eyes. I would pay anything for that. But considering the affordability of LASIK right now, you absolutely must take advantage of this. Free consultation, LASIKMD.com. No reason to wait. I trust them with my eyes, and now I know I can trust them with yours. LASIKMD.com.
8:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Tennessean reports that according to projections from state and team financial documents they've obtained, a new enclosed stadium for the Titans could cost between $1.9 to $2.2 billion and could be ready in time for the 2026 NFL season. The state is projecting it will cost $710 million over 20 years to finance Governor Bill Lee's proposed $500 million bond contribution to the project. The bonds have yet to be approved by state lawmakers who are expected to vote on the state budget later this month. To the NHL, the Oilers defeated the Predators 4-0 yesterday. Leon Draisaitl netted a hat trick for Edmonton. Preds host Chicago tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Padres over the Braves 12-1. Atlanta committed 3 errors. They've dropped 4 of their last 5. 8:40 will be the first pitch tonight in San Diego. For the second consecutive year, Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Vols will play their season opener on a Thursday night, this time on September 1st against Ball State. 6 o'clock Central will be the kickoff on SEC Network. And NBA play-in games for the 8th seed, Atlanta at Cleveland at 6:30, New Orleans at the LA Clippers at 9, Western Conference playoffs and the Eastern Conference really kicking off tomorrow with Minnesota at Memphis. 2:30 start for that in Grind City. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in, JMart and Ramon, hour number 3 of the program. Lifted up by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. 11-year NFL vet, ball for life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin at Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Josh Ward, Sports Animal, WNML, joins us in the next segment. We can talk a little about this ESPN preseason FPI Top 25. I don't really care about this yet because it's April 15th.
Mm-hmm.
This is just entertainment content as far as I'm concerned, as Kay Simon told us last week. But the question that I asked earlier, a little off the beat, and we have a whole lot of you in the chat commenting on this. And you can tweet us at J. Martin Ramon. The telephone number, you may have to hold for a bit, is 615-737-1045. What is an example of a no-skip album?
Man.
And I don't think the list is as long as people think it is. And the older you are, the better chance you have of a longer list because, well, for me, I had tapes before I had CDs. I even had vinyl for a little while. And it was harder to skip. And so I think it encouraged you just to let it go. Sometimes you were in a spot where you couldn't fast forward to the spot you wanted to as you were walking with a Walkman or something like that. Now it's just boom, 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 boom. You can buy a la carte songs. You never even hear the whole album. You just buy the single. Or you buy a song that you hear in a club or downtown or wherever it is that you happen to be. I don't think albums are done the same as they used to be. We got a caller on line 1, Jimmy in Franklin, who used to be a record exec. So I'm really interested in his take on this. Jimmy, good morning.
Record exec, that's a bit much. I'm still in the record business. I don't know if I've ever been an executive. Ever.
Okay, well, you're a businessman and you've got records somewhere in there, so that's fine.
There it is.
That's right. But I'm also VFL, Moan.
Go Vols.
Yeah, man. Was there in the 80s. Met my wife there. My 2 kids went there.
Hey, I'm hoping my 2 kids go there maybe.
Well, I didn't give them a choice. So, yeah, the record business, I've been in it for 32 years, and the evolution from cassettes to CDs, and you're exactly right. The CD is what kind of made the skipping possible. And record labels got lazy, for lack of a better term. They would put 1 or 2 good songs on a record, and then the rest of it would be trash,
Wow.
And we, and I don't know if they did that on purpose, but it just is kind of how it went. But now, when it's more about access than ownership, you could argue that music's getting better. The artists I work with right now, we're releasing one song at a time, a couple months apart, more songs more often. And the quality of the music, I think, arguably could be considered better now because we're not rushing to put out a full 10 or 12 song album every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about getting the music out there for your fans on a more timely basis, so they don't forget you. It's easier to get to your fans, but the noise level is so loud that it's hard to break through that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, even a great album back in the day, 2 weeks later, I was at the record store for something else. I was there for another tape or another CD, so it does seem like maybe it was a never-ending deal. So what would be an example or two of something, and it probably is maybe back in the day, but something that you would think would be on your no-skip list?
Oh, AC/DC, Back in Black.
Okay.
100%.
Back in Black.
Schaefer mentioned that one. I agree with that.
Police Synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
And then, back to my 80s roots, REM Reckoning is another one.
I would have said maybe Automatic. I was actually thinking of Automatic for the People for REM, but I think that's a good one too. Those are some good ones, Jimmy, and that's an interesting thought. And I do think that just the way technology has changed makes it easier now to piecemeal what you want, and so it doesn't encourage you to do what you had to do, which is spend time with albums. And especially when I was in middle school, it's $20 for a tape or CD or whatever like that. So even if I made a mistake, I was still listening to it. Yeah, I bought that Extreme album, and it wasn't great, but I still listened to it, except for Columbia House and BMG when I was getting 15 for one.
I remember paying $27 for Speaker Box and The Love Below because it was like the deluxe album.
Deluxe album.
Yeah. $27 for that, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
Easily worth it.
But you could talk yourself in it because you were going to listen to it 20, 30 times. Yeah. I was like back in the day, I made some horrible video game purchases when I was a kid.
Oh, no doubt.
But I still played the guts out of those games and ended up feeling much different about them because I gave them the time as opposed to it didn't instantly have to hit me. Yeah. That's the way TV works now, too. There's a show called Lone Star. It was on Fox like a handful of years ago. And it had real promise. Mm-hmm. The ratings were bad in week 1, and it was canceled in week 3.
Golly.
Week 3. If you don't hit within the first 2 weeks of a TV series, now executives are trying to cut the cord.
God, oh, that's terrible. That's a terrible way of doing business.
Very rookie quarterback approach.
Think about how many series took an entire season to get going that you love now.
A lot of people say about The Office.
For sure.
Yeah.
The Office came back with a completely different approach in season 2. The Office now, I don't know that it would have survived if it didn't have the right backing behind it because season 1 was not well received.
Well, I'll still say Sons of Anarchy to me still didn't hit me within the first couple.
Sons of Anarchy got better in the back half of the first season. It took about 4 episodes for that show to really find its footing, but that's another example.
Breaking Bad was another one that started slow.
It was a different kind of show. A lot of people thought critically it was hit from the beginning, but yes, I think that's true. But there's a whole lot of shows I think that qualify as the first season was an introduction, and usually that's the way most of them are. Season 2 is when they start to hit. 3 is when they've made their money, gotten extended, best creative. 4 is when it starts to usually take a bit of a downturn, and a lot of them, if they run too long, you figure it out real fast. And most shows do run too long. Ro is in Nashville. Ro, what's
up, Ro?
What's going on, fella?
Not much. Good morning. Good morning to you, man.
I got a couple no-skip albums for y'all. That Bone Thugs and Harmony, East 1999.
Yep.
I like it. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying.
It was basically perfect. That would be on. I agree with you on that.
Yep.
And I got one more, and I'm doing this just for the city. That Young Buck straight out of Cashville.
Boy, come on, man. From beginning to end, yes. Man, Buck might have had his stuff in the media lately, but that first album, oh my God.
I mean, that was 50.
Ooh. And he put Nashville on the market, too, just more on the market as far as the biggest artists. I was so proud to listen to that CD straight out of Cashville. Oh my God, I wasn't even from here. And I'm like, yeah, he's doing it. Yeah, 100%. No skips.
I never heard that album, so I can't comment.
Jay, he got a gem in that one. And it's so bad that he's let social media or just whatever his he has going on running, because those Legends of the South tours that they're having, Young Buck should be on those. When like they had the Snoop stuff that came into town like a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, he should have been in that arena with them, man. Like he's had some stuff that happened as of late, right or wrong, whatever, however you feel about it. I'm just like, that dude is a Southern legend based off of that one. And the way he jumped on features with people, man, oh my gosh, he is a rapping fool, as some people would like to say.
That'd be another question. Who's better on other people's stuff than their own? And I don't even mean just features. I mean covers. I mean that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a totally different discussion, but I'd love to have that conversation one day also.
Speaking of just doing it for the state, like before I went to UTJ, I listened to just straight Memphis music, man. And it's, like you say, you had to spend time with the CDs or tapes, though. So the other ones I have on there, When the Smoke Clears, 36, Project Pat, Mr. Don't Play, Getty Green, and Land the Smackdown. All Land the Smackdown, Mr. Don't Play, both went platinum for a guy out of Memphis. And I did Frazier Boy Gone on that bay. Like if I'm listening to that out, I can put that on in a car right now. No skips. Like that was my era of like high school music. Oh my gosh. I'm sure you got like an era of high school music.
I mean, Pearl Jam 10 was right there. And then that era of that kind of music, there's several. I mean, Nirvana's Nevermind's going to be on a lot of people's list.
Yeah.
It was when music changed. Even Metallica said when they heard it for the first time, they said, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, did they?
Because music shifted on a dime when Smells Like Teen Spirit was heard by major rock musicians. Hair bands died basically the second that song hit.
It's a wrap for them, huh?
Yeah, there are moments where that happens. Josh Ward, Sports Animal, will join us on the other side. We'll see if he's got a no skip.
He has to. Josh is too smart not to have one.
Indeed. So we'll talk some Vols, talk a little Vols baseball. We'll I guess talk about this nonsense FPI preseason.
Yeah.
It's way too early for this, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll talk about that and the Vol schedule. Opening up with Ball State on Thursday night. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. The Killers, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 Zone. A lot of people. Hot Fuss is another pretty solid record from top to bottom. We were talking about no skips albums. The older you are, the more you understand this, because now you can just go buy a track. I still buy albums. I still buy CDs. I bought Jack White's CD last week. Kurt Vile's got an album out today. But a lot of times it is easier just to buy it on your phone. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times you're like, man, I kind of wish I'd just picked up a couple songs.
I'm gonna be real. Where can I go right now to buy a CD?
Grimies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you was just saying something. Right?
No, Grimies is the spot.
Oh, okay.
It's the spot in Nashville. But I mean, Best Buy still sells a handful. Target still sells a decent amount.
Yeah.
There's still some places.
Whew.
I still buy them for album. For some artists, I get a CD every time. Amazon will still ship you one too.
What, they're also upcharging it at that point too.
I got one for $7.99 last week.
Did you really?
Yeah. So it can be done. To the Marks Main Real Estate Hotline, Josh Ward, Sports Animal, co-hosting now with Jason Swain. What's going on, Josh? How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
So what would be a no-skip album for you, Josh? And you're of a certain age that you've probably had tapes in your life, or you've had a CD where you haven't been able to necessarily skip around. What's an album where you know you can just play anything off of it? You never just like, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, sure. Great question. I have a lot that I could go through, and I come from the time of you put the cassette in and try to record off the radio to get that song. Remember that? So my number one album would be Yield by Pearl Jam. So I could choose a few Pearl Jam albums. That would be my top band. So I would go with Yield. Led Zeppelin, I typically only listen through like an album. I just started a track, whichever album, and then would go through. That would be my start. And then the workout album. So if I'm just choosing one, start it and go during the workout. Don't laugh at me here, but it would be Get Rich or Die Trying.
Hey, we talked about it.
Okay, good. I was a senior in high school when that album came out, and it just hits all the way through for what you're looking for in the workout album.
No, he never came close to doing it again. Like, that album was nearly perfect, Josh. And then we talked about it before. Like, there's a couple of decent things after, but nothing that got even close to Get Rich or Die Trying again.
Yeah, that was definitely the best work. I like some of his other stuff, and I actually like the soundtrack album from the movie with the same title. But when that full debut came out, it just it hit in a major way.
Yeah, that song, I Whip Your Head, boy. Yeah, all of that on the soundtrack. Oh,
that's right.
Yeah, you mentioned Yield. I said 10 was probably the top of my list. Sure. But yeah, the list, there's a lot of lists, and a lot of people, and it's generational and all that. But yeah, if you were old enough to remember tapes, I think you have a decent list because you couldn't just skip as easily. Is it too early to put out an FPI top 25 pre-season? I just roll my eyes at this, Josh, because I just see it all as entertainment now, and it's just kind of like all you're doing is creating some kind of obstacle for teams that are outside a certain ranking to where you can knock them and be like, well, they have more to prove somehow. This list, I just looked at this and was just like, really? It's April 15th. Can we not wait a little longer?
Yeah, as a sports talk radio host, I would say, why don't you do like late May, mid-June, somewhere in that range, when we're looking for more topics, because it just provides them. Because you look at it in Knoxville, we see the list and you see the top 25 with all the SEC teams, and there's no Tennessee, and you immediately eye roll and say, okay, well, that's wrong, and then you can dive right in. Or you look at Auburn, and I'm not buying Auburn as a top 10 team going in. There are all these different kinds of lists, and honestly, one of my first thoughts when I looked at it and I didn't see Tennessee in the top 25, which had 9 SEC teams, was I wonder if they have incorrect data that's been put in, because I actually saw another analytics list recently that just had wrong information on Tennessee's offensive production returning. So part of what I wondered was, does the Football Power Index just have some bad numbers in there that is either lifting Auburn up or dropping Tennessee or Arkansas? Arkansas is way too low, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it just generates nonstop conversation, and that's probably part of the purpose too.
I would say it's the entire purpose, Mo.
Yeah. No doubt about it. I'd say this too, though, Josh. Like, initially, my feelings on it was fair. You got a quarterback that had a really good year coming off the bench as the backup in a system that nobody really knew anything about in the SEC. You also have a defense that you got to find out, can they sustain what they did last year, because that was a lot Okay, and then you got a secondary and the defense that's just, look, you got to figure out what's going to happen there. Can this work again? To say we left out of top 25, I question it, but I still say fair game when it comes down to just being real about where we're at still, Josh.
Well, I think that's reasonable. My bigger question was Tennessee being 10th in the SEC, Arkansas 11th in the SEC. I don't think that's right. So that can come back to just the big picture. You got stuff all out of whack. But Tennessee, if you just take a step back and say, okay, Tennessee still has a lot more to prove. They have defensive questions to answer. Are they really a top 25 team? Sure, they have to prove that because they haven't actually done it yet. It would be a projection that they are there. And you can easily find a top 10 to top 15 projection. And if I'm Josh Heupel, I'm thinking, whoa, pump the brakes on this hype that is now surrounding the team and the expectations that are going to rise. Doesn't mean you're not trying to reach that level this year. But if I'm Josh Heupel, I'm telling my team about the FPI. I'm telling them, hey, the Football Power Index says you have not arrived. Don't pay attention to that other stuff. These people are still questioning whether you can do it, to keep that motivation there. Not that it should be lacking, but you look for that extra edge. So asking, is Tennessee a top 15, 20, 25 team, I think is very fair because I still wonder myself. I would have reordered some of the SEC to be specific there with the top 10 or 11 because Arkansas is arguably more slighted than Tennessee is.
Right.
So and I think Tennessee will be better than that spot, but no doubt they have to prove it because you have to go to Pitt. And Pitt beat you last year. They have some changes, have to replace Pickett, but that's not going to be easy. You have to beat Florida. They've had changes, but how difficult has that been over the years? And then everything else that comes is just playing in the SEC schedule. Get a little lucky, avoid some injury, keep Hendon Hooker healthy. So there are a lot of things that still have to happen for Tennessee to be what others say that they already are.
So Florida on the 24th, then you have the open week, and then you've got at LSU, and then Bama comes. Those three games – That's going to tell us a lot. Tell me what you think of LSU right now, Josh. I'm very much wait and see. I know what they're capable of, and I know what Brian Kelly is as a coach. I'm still wanting to see that fit and whether or not there's any authenticity at all that can go along with whatever it is that he can do from a football perspective. But where are you right now on LSU? Because that's right there in the middle. Florida, you got a shot this year, I think, if you're Tennessee. Bama, you play Bama tough most years, but I don't anticipate that being a victory. LSU, though, LSU's got my attention. What do you think of LSU right now in that bogus FPI? I think they're like 11th or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a program with where it is and what's going to happen next that fascinates me more in college football than LSU because it's a program that has the highest of standards, right? Yep. It has a head coach that is very well known, that is an interesting fit in Baton Rouge. Is that fair to say with how things have gone so far? But they're still going to have talent. They have a talented quarterback coming in to help compete, and you have to go to Baton Rouge, which is never going to be easy. And Tennessee could be in quite a spot. What if Tennessee does beat Florida? So if we go back to that game, that is a very winnable game. I think that's one that fans are going to say we need to win. We should win because it's year one for Billy Napier, coming to Knoxville. And you can play the other side. If Tennessee doesn't win that game, then the Monday after is going to be, well, when are we ever going to beat Florida again? You start to run down that road again. So if Tennessee, let's say Tennessee beats Pitt and Florida, because it's very doable. If that happens, you're undefeated going to LSU. All of a sudden, some real hype has started to pop up. Maybe there's been some Heisman conversation that has become real with Hendon Hooker. Becomes a really interesting 2 weeks because you have that off week between Florida and LSU. Alabama, I still am kind of in the, we need to see a lot more before I can talk confidently about Tennessee's chances against Alabama or Georgia later in the season. But Florida and LSU are winnable games. If I could promise a split right now, you win one of those two. It's more likely Florida, I would think. I think fans would mostly take that. They need to go get a win against Pitt, though, because there's just going to be a huge build-up to the start of the season, and you get to July and August, and you start to go from 7 to 8 wins, 8 to 9. You have an over/under that comes out that's at 8.5. Well, fans are going to want to see over that number, not under. So to get to that level, to then come back to, are you a top 15, top 20 team? You need to beat Pitt early, probably, and then the Florida game becomes very important to then reach that standard that fans are probably going to hold for the program very quickly.
So when it comes down to, like you said, beating Florida, I think the East is very much important. Everybody's chasing Georgia, but how are we going to stack up against Kentucky? And as much as I talk crap about them, their program has been more stable than they have in years past. I know we got them last year, but they're going to be looking for some get back. What is that competition like this upcoming year?
Yeah, that's a big one, and it is in Knoxville. That helps. And here's some credit to Kentucky. Besides the record, which has been solid and Mark Stoops is well established, last year going into that game, my thought was what Tennessee's offense is something that Kentucky's not going to be able to keep up with. And they did things differently knowing, well, we have to take a shot at keeping up with what Tennessee does offensively. And they took a pretty good shot at it, had a chance late to win the game. Tennessee got the win. The Tennessee-Kentucky conversation is similar to probably what's being said in Gainesville about playing Tennessee. Yeah, we have a new coach. Yeah, we're going through this roster shakeup, but we beat Tennessee. That's what Florida's going to say going to Knoxville. Tennessee can say, yeah, we beat Kentucky, but Tennessee better respect Kentucky. You get kind of a tune-up before that in UT Martin before the Kentucky game, so that should help Tennessee. But to be where Tennessee wants to be, which is realistically, I would say, second in the East, you need to take care of business against those teams that appear to be behind you in South Carolina and Missouri. Certainly they were a year ago when you went head-to-head. And then you need to hold your own at least against Florida and Kentucky, because I think it's a Kentucky-Tennessee conversation right now for second in the East. And then Florida, if they do get quarterback right, if they start to really tap into that potential that Richardson has at quarterback, they could become scary more quickly, and that's what Tennessee is going to try to keep from happening in September.
Josh, South Carolina I'm also fascinated by. It's a game that Tennessee needs to win every single year, and South Carolina has a wonderful fan base, especially when they're winning. It's a really fun place to be. Spencer Rattler is the guy I want to watch him and Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly this year, because he's going from super pressure packed and had all the hype behind him to now he's trying to rediscover himself, put himself back into conversation to be one of those quarterbacks selected in the draft. What do you think about the fit down there? How interested are you to see how Spencer Rattler actually shakes out with what Beamer's trying to do at South Carolina?
Yeah, very much so. There are some comparisons with Tennessee and South Carolina. Both head coaches there split the Steve Spurrier first-year Coach of the Year award. Now, Tennessee had the better season, and Tennessee, as I mentioned, won the head-to-head battle pretty easily. But South Carolina was a team, I think their win total last year was 4, and they end up having a lot more success than that. And now they have transfers coming in, and it's a restart for Rattler, and you do have the connection from Beamer being at Oklahoma. So in Columbia, they should be excited about being able to take a step forward. So they're in a similar position there compared to Tennessee. That game is really interesting, too, because it's really late, so there's a long way to go before they play there in mid-November. But Tennessee's either going to be in a position where if you've done some of the good things we've talked about Tennessee can do, well, you need to make sure you win that game, and then Vanderbilt to close things out to have hit on a lot of your goals and to have taken a step forward as a program and put together a really good season. Or if you've fallen short in a couple of those games, you really need to beat South Carolina to avoid the season kind of falling apart if you haven't won some of the games you expected to earlier in the year. So it's going to be important no matter the situation Tennessee's in. And I think in the last decade, South Carolina has, with some of the success it's had, either head-to-head or just as a program, it said, hey, we can be on par with Tennessee. So if South Carolina is able to get a win at home against the Vols this year, they're going to say, okay, well, they blew us out last year. This year we beat them. Let's assume that they've maybe won some other games to take a step forward as a program, and they're going to say it's our time to rise up in the SEC East. So we'll talk more about Florida, LSU. We kind of led that way in this segment, right, in Kentucky. But don't overlook South Carolina. That's going to be an important game when Tennessee gets to it.
Okay, and before we get to all of those points, Josh, what's the conversation around spring practice so far? You only get so many, and hopefully everybody's pushing forward with this team, because nothing happens if they can't put it on the field together. What have you heard about them?
Yeah, not a ton, partly because they've had so many guys that have been out in key spots, like in the secondary, the most important players, or most of the important players, I would say, at corner out this spring. And, I think they're trying to figure out what do they have at wide receiver. So a positive would be Jalen Hyatt. He is one of the biggest bright spots coming out of spring because they have to replace Velus Jones, which is a lot, and Javonte Payton, who is a big play threat. And Jalen Hyatt is a really good he's a really good candidate to do that. And Josh Heupel, I think, has legitimately talked him up with what he's done, because Hyatt himself took some public ownership to not putting in the work he needed to before last season, and then watching what others did, including Velus, and now he's put work in the weight room, and he's made some plays this spring, and I think that's real. I think Elijah Simmons is a guy that's gotten some really good talk on the defensive line. Questions that will remain will be depth along the defensive line. Do they have enough pass rushers, second and third levels? Do they have enough talent? Do they have enough depth? I just don't think we could get that answer in the spring because of players that were unavailable. And then they need another tackle, potentially, maybe in the transfer portal, or somebody has to step up. A transfer in Gerald Mincey could be a candidate there. So the really big questions I don't think have been answered in the spring. I think if you want to talk about player buy-in and development of leadership with replacing some guys from last year's team like Alontae Taylor and Matthew Butler and Bayless, I think Tennessee feels really good about that. And then you have Hendon Hooker coming back, and that's a real positive. So that comes back to tackle. Got to keep him healthy, because if they have a healthy Hendon Hooker, the trust is there that they're going to figure out what to do with the skill position players. They're going to try to add a few more pieces here before fall camp begins, and you get guys back healthy. I think they feel good about where they are. They have to continue to build on what they did last year, and they have to continue to grow with the leadership and the player accountability, which appears to right now be in a really good progress.
One more quick one. You and Swain, which one of you bought pajama pants first in the wake of Nico and doing what he did with the 7-on-7?
Iamaliava?
Yes.
Iamaliava.
Yeah, I bought some for Swain. It's going to be my first gift to him for coming on board here on the Sports Animal. So, I think he'll look great in the I got him some Tennessee pajama pants, then I'm going to get him some Nico-branded pajama pants so he can wear them when he goes out to practice. I think he'll look great.
Why not?
Absolutely. Good stuff, Josh. We appreciate it,
He
brother.
told me he's jumped on Team Petty, by the way. So I told him I think Ramon's maybe the captain there, but Swain's bringing Team Petty.
I am the captain
That's
now.
Knoxville Force as well.
I'm the captain now.
Appreciate you, Josh. Thanks,
Appreciate it, Josh.
You got it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Andy, that's Josh Ward.
The Josh Ward.
Team Petty is just our show in general.
I mean, but it branches off.
It does, but it starts here.
I got no problem with that either.
It starts here. We're the thermostat.
Set to 10.
By the way, speaking of Team Petty, Cousin Andrew let me know that Slay sneezed during the show yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, we'll have that when we come back.
Violent, too.
Violent sneeze. I think it startled Dawn.
No skip records. What's the album that you can just play in any order, never have to skip a track? 615-737-1045. Interesting stuff there from Josh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the South Carolina, we got to keep an eye on South Carolina this year, because I think those are two programs that are both trying to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them have good fan bases, good tradition, everything.
Yeah.
Everything that you like. So that's it for guests today. So you can become the guest if you'd like. 615-737-1045. We'll get into the stadium chatter from the information from the Tennessee when we come back. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Once a year spring extravaganza is coming at Genesis Diamonds. You better mark your calendar right now. This is the most anticipated sale of the year every year. It's April 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. 3 incredible days of savings, up to 35% off engagement rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, necklaces. This is why people are driving hours coming in from out of state to shop this. Even the vast selection Genesis has of GIA certified diamonds specially priced during this event. Top jewelry designers bringing their most recent stuff you've never seen before, eye-catching stuff, the world's top designers in bridal and fashion jewelry. This is pretty much the biggest jewelry chunk show that you will ever see. You're also going to get special financing on every purchase you make during this event. This is a time to get the spring bling. It's a time to get the engagement ring if you're planning to propose, something for your graduate, anniversary, whatever you're celebrating. You got to be at this event. It's once a year. It's Genesis Diamond Spring Extravaganza, 3 days, off-the-chart savings, up to $10,000 off some items. April 22nd, 23rd, and 24th only, and only at Genesis Diamonds. My jewelry store should be yours. Both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. You cannot miss this. Smells Like Teen Spirit. You can hear the death of hair metal in the background. Somebody from Rat just keeled over. It's like,
Warren.
Whoa.
Cinderella.
White Snake.
Yep. Poison.
Good show recommendation for you if you are a child of the 90s. Dark Side of the 90s on Hulu, 10-part documentary series from Vice. They did Dark Side of the Ring, which is still going on, the wrestling side. Dark Side of the 90s just kind of looks at different stuff, looks at East versus West Coast rap. The .com bubble, if you don't understand exactly how that played out, pets.com and all that kind of stuff, explains in detail the Beanie Baby craze and how it fell after a while. There's an hour on Baywatch and how it brought culture down.
Wow.
All sorts of stuff. And one of them is about grunge and the Seattle sound and the rise of Sub Pop records. And Nirvana, of course, was discovered by Sub Pop.
Wow.
In Washington. So there's a lot there. What did I say we were going to talk about? Oh, yeah. The stadium.
The stadium.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, buddy.
Dad brain.
guy.
Dad brain.
Dad brain.
Exclusive from the Tennessean. Adam Friedman, Cassandra Stevenson, Sandy Mazza putting this together. New Nashville NFL Stadium could exceed $2 billion, be ready by 2026. A new enclosed stadium for the Titans could cost between $1.9 to $2.2 billion, could be ready in time for the 2026 NFL season, according to newly obtained projections. That's exactly what we said. We said about $2 billion open fall 2026. That was our just estimate. They are estimating 1.7 million square foot enclosed stadium that will take 31 months to build. They're looking at finance and things of that nature right now. They're about to vote on the budget. The state is projecting it will cost $710 million over 20 years to finance Bill Lee's proposed $500 million bond contribution. They are looking at these estimates, and they are relying on the stadium's ability, this from the pieces in Tennessee, and to attract 28 non-football events per year.
Damn.
In addition to tax revenue from significant development surrounding the stadium, 15 additional ticketed events per year, the Titans estimate, yielding $225 million more in annual revenue compared to the current Nissan Stadium. 28 non-football events plus 10 NFL games per year over 30 years, $235 million on sales tax alone. Taxes collected from construction of campus neighborhood developments over 10 to 15 years, another $182 million. There's more about the taxes and things of that nature. State's estimates do not include the potential economic impact of hosting a Super Bowl or NCAA Final Four, according to the document. Super Bowl will be here by 2030 if the stadium's built in 26. That's kind of just, we sort of know that right now. They're also looking at economic impact about the neighborhoods surrounding the stadium and what that's going to be. The Titans are projecting new development of a neighborhood surrounding the stadium could cost $4 billion in a series of public-private investments, according to the documents. 1.9 to 2.2 estimated. So start thinking 2.5 to 3, because if you've ever tried to renovate a house or have something done, the estimate ain't what it costs.
I think they say you put a percentage to the side of what the end cost is anyhow.
I think Mercedes-Benz was supposed to be 1.2 and ended up close to 2 in Atlanta.
I think
because they had
2.5 to
some
2.6.
issues.
3 might be a little much.
I said 2.5 to 3.
Yeah, I think 2.5.
It just look, it just look, Shafe, it depends on supply chain and inflation and a lot of those things as well.
Right. I mean, the biggest point of it all is when they break ground, it doesn't matter what it costs. Just being real with you, like it's gonna get done, and whatever they got to spend to bring this palace to Nashville, man, is I think it will end up being worth it.
Super Bowl sites committed through 2025.
So the question that one of Abby's colleagues raised said she loves this show, but she was angry with, and she said me, but us.
Yes, just you.
Said that we don't understand fully the impact this is going to have on PSL holders like her and her family. And the ticket raising, the price raising, and the concern of people that have had tickets since day one that are going to be priced out.
I feel that.
and I understand it. The hard and fast answer to it, and we can carry this over into the fourth hour along with the no skip stopping, is somebody will buy them. I hate to say it that way, but they don't care who's filling the seats.
Oh.
They just want the seats filled. And if they can make more money by pricing you and your family out, or feeling like, yeah, it's got to raise in order to make this happen, we're also going to get rich on this and all this. There's a whole lot of money that's moving into this city, if you haven't noticed. A whole lot of companies that are moving from California, moving from New York, opening up giant factories here. There's a ton of money in our community. They're going to be able to fill the stadium even if you can't make it. And I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm just saying that's the life that we lead. That's what Atlanta told its people when they opened Mercedes-Benz. They were just like, your seat that you have right now won't exist in the new stadium. Pony up or get out is basically what they said. And that's just how this works.
Let's look at the Cincinnati Reds interview he had. Nashville is going to feel it. You know, just in general, the feelings of what owners are into. They know what they're doing. Yeah. And it's not an owner thing. It's really a city thing, what we're talking about. But here in Nashville, to your point, Jay, it's going to get filled.
Yeah, it's going to get filled by wealthier people. And will that affect how the stadium is and how loud it is and things? It might. It might. We'll talk about it after. We'll talk about it. But that's the jump-off point. If you're a PSL holder, 615-737-1045, are you concerned that you're not going to be able to afford it, or that it's going to price you out, or just all the things that go into it from a PSL standpoint? I'd like to hear from you. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Say you want a Ford Explorer. Well, I had one of those before also, with a great sound system, a sunroof, co-pilot assist, and Atlas Blue. Guess what? Two Rivers Ford can order that for you. Or maybe you want a truck like a F-150 XLT in Oxford White with a tow technology package. Two Rivers Ford can order that for you. Two Rivers Ford can now custom order the exact new Ford you want in any color, any trim level, with any available features. All you have to do is reach out to one of their non-commissioned salespeople, and they'll walk you right through the process if you need a little help. Or if you don't want to go to the dealership, guess what? You can do it all online yourself by clicking the custom order tab at tworiversford.com. At Two Rivers Ford, you'll always find honest, upfront prices and non-commissioned salespeople. And don't forget, Two Rivers Ford always has the max trade-in guarantee. So let's recap a little bit. At Two Rivers Ford, you get exactly what you want at a great price. You also get top dollar for your trade, and you work with non-commissioned salespeople who aren't going to pressure you. Does it get any better? Yes, it does, actually. Two Rivers Ford is also locally owned, and they have been right here in Tennessee since 1983 with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. So what are you waiting for? Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford today.
9:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Tennessean reports that according to projections from state and team financial documents they obtained, a new enclosed stadium for the Titans could cost between $1.9 and $2.2 billion and could be ready in time for the 2026 NFL season. The state is projecting it will cost $710 million over 20 years to finance. Governor Bill Lee's proposed $500 million bond contribution to the project. The bonds have yet to be approved by state lawmakers who are expected to vote on the state budget later this month. Playoff push continues for the Predators, but stalled out last night against the Oilers as they fell to Edmonton 4-0. Leon Draisaitl netted a hat trick for Edmonton. The Preds host Chicago tomorrow at 11:30. Padres blasted the Braves 12-1. Atlanta committed 3 errors yesterday. Braves have lost 2 in a row, 4 of their last 5. Take on the Padres again in San Diego with an 8:40 first pitch this evening. For the second consecutive year, Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Volunteers will play their season opener on a Thursday night, this time September 1st against Ball State, 6 p.m. on SEC Network. Green Bay Packers have signed wide receiver Sammy Watkins to a 1-year deal, reportedly worth up to $4 million. NBA playing games for the 8th seed tonight. Atlanta at Cleveland. We'll be rooting for Darius Garland up there with the Cavs. 6:30 will be the tip. New Orleans at the LA Clippers. 9 o'clock will be the tip for that. Western Conference playoffs tomorrow. Minnesota at Grind City taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. 2:30 tip for that contest. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? 4th hour hashtag, fastest 4 hours in radio is upon you, upon us. Blessed to bring it to you courtesy of All Four Seasons Garage Doors. It's a good Friday.
Good Friday. It is Good Friday.
Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin at Ramon Foster at Schaefer on Sports at JMart Radio at JMart and Ramon. Stephon Gilmore had a great visit with the Colts. Rams have been talking to him a couple of days ago. I could see him ending up in Indy.
I think it's Tom Pelissaro's reporting that Gilmore is going to Indianapolis.
So it's done.
He's going?
I was looking for the most recent news on it because I saw it pop up in the chat, and I was just like, wait a second, something happened, but I didn't see it. But it certainly sounded yesterday like that. Okay, now I see it. Schefter's actually reported it now, too.
Anderson as well, so now it's making the rounds.
So Gilmore to the Colts. 5-time Pro Bowler.
Lockdown
cornerback.
Yep.
Got to have somebody that can try to lock down these receivers.
They just got better. A little bit better, for sure.
Yeah. So, Schefter, Pelissero, Anderson. This is a tweet Schefter doesn't have to apologize for.
He's back at it. Shout out to Shefty, man.
So, that's a nice name.
Yeah.
And something, look, Colts had money.
Yeah, they do. We knew they were going to potentially make a move here or there. I didn't think they were going to get a corner like this, though. And they need it. So, especially if you're going to have AJ in this division. And
exactly.
You got to push the envelope. That's what they're doing. Bobby Trees.
And generally speaking, if you are going to play in the AFC,
you're
going to be seeing a lot of great wide receivers.
It's become a very pass-heavy conference. That's for doggone sure on the AFC side. And just the NFL in general has become that. So
the new stadium, 1.9 to 2.2, according to the Tennessean. It's still not finalized, but it's finalized. I mean, it's going to happen. It's not finalized, I should say, but it is going to happen. There's a lot of estimates here. Neighborhood zone, $4 billion to kind of put around the stadium. 1.9 to 2.2 is the estimate. I'd say 2.5-ish is probably what it ends up, unless there's a disaster and a documentary to be made about it, at which point it'll be 3.
Right.
Metro Nashville leaders working with the state and Titans officials to coordinate new infrastructure across the East Bank. Private developers descending on hundreds of acres primed for redevelopment around the stadium and the campus neighborhood. They believe that 19,000 jobs could be created over the next 30 years in and around the stadium. We know what it means. We know the events that come here as a result. PSL holders, that's what we asked for if you were a PSL holder. I know we had a few on the line who dropped off, but if you're a PSL holder, your price is about to go up. If you are someone buying a ticket, your price is about to go up.
Mm-hmm.
If you go and look at the Atlanta model, you will see what they said at the time. It went up somewhere, depending on where you were sitting, on average, it went up 17 to 33%, somewhere in that neighborhood in terms of prices. And parking went up, and everything had to go up around it. And some people will balk at that. But this is, if you're the Titans, the city was going to do this anyway. But if you were the Titans, this is the time to do it because you have a team that's winning. Yeah. By the time 2026 gets around here, most of the guys, the vast majority of the guys that you're watching in uniform this fall will not be with this team. This stadium is not going to house the guys that you're used to right now. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a totally different universe, 31 months of construction, whatever has to be set up to hopefully get it open by the football season in 2026. Maybe they target the World Cup, but that might even be pushing it. It's going to be a lengthy process, but you have to strike when your team's not 2-15.
Right.
You have a better opportunity to. You can sell it easier, even though I think you can sell it anyway because a lot of it's not just the Titans.
Mm-hmm. And it becomes a social event, honestly, when you have an arena like this. Like the one thing I know for sure about Nissan Stadium right now is, boy, when it's hot, it's hot in there, okay? And you got to sit there and just be pounded by the heat. So getting the dome here is huge, man. And, you spoke about the tickets, the availability of the PSL holders and the legacies that's been in that stadium since 1999. I had the opportunity about a week or so ago, man. A buddy of mine, Jeff Magruder, introduced me to John Ingram. And if you know him, he's, of course, the owner of Nashville Soccer Club. And I got an opportunity to walk Geodis Park with him and with Jeff. And we're walking up and down the stadium on the pitch and just everything. And we walked up to the suites, and I was just asking, just curiosity. And if I had the opportunity to get a suite, he was like, man, how, are the suites sold out? It's like, been sold out. I'm thinking to myself, like, this is soccer. Like, there's not even a secondary sport here, mostly in America. But here in Nashville, it is a thing. And that stadium is so friggin' attractive, Jay. And that's what this new stadium here is going to be. And when we speak about availability as far as getting in, if you got a soccer stadium here that's sold out already as far as the suites and tickets, I don't think there's many more that's left as far as season ticket holders go. I think Shafe is a ticket holder also. And I know Lucas loves it. Friggin' Will loves it. It's gonna sell. So to Abby's co-workers, and we're not bashing or anything. I understand the conversation behind that. Fully understand it. But to your point of, it's gonna sell, Jay. It's gonna be booked up before we even know it. As far as the availability of tickets, and if you don't want it, it's gonna be some people that live in Memphis that make that trip. I was highly impressed, man, by coming back one Sunday from Memphis and just seeing all the Tennessee Fireballs on cars driving towards Nashville to come to a game. The support is there.
One thing that was interesting, though, looking at the Atlanta model, was that they couldn't fill it. That they had so many people default after saying that they were going to do it. When the prices hit, some people stopped. And I think the Falcons organization as well, again, to the point of you're not going to pay for too long if the team isn't doing something that encourages it. But I think they said like 30 to 40% defaulted on their season tickets, on their PSLs.
Yeah.
After paying, and that's the other thing, is the fee for the PSL. I don't know what it's going to be. I think it was somewhere between $35,000 and $8,000 per seat one time in Atlanta. It's definitely going to change things for people that are looking for it. The soccer stadium, one benefit it really has, and I think baseball stadiums should be taking a cue from this. You should make these things state of the art and gorgeous and smaller.
Yeah.
You don't need 100,000. Make it a perfect 35,000 seat stadium.
Goodness.
Like, for example, we've talked about this before on this show and many others. Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
You don't need 70,000. You just need a just great facility
55.
for 35.
Yeah.
Just it's got everything, right? Just a beautiful, immaculate palace because that's the way they do it in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Sounders Stadium and some of the places that they play. You build it in a way where it's loud and you keep people together.
Yep.
You don't need to spread them out in a giant facility and worry about having to fill it as opposed to making it a show.
Right.
Bridgestone during the playoff run, it was hard to get Preds tickets.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same exact thing. And so I think that benefits the soccer stadium as well. Adam in Portland. Adam, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm just curious. You guys might have covered it already, but I've been a PSL holder for the Titans for years. I've got 3 seats. I put a bunch of money into this, man.
Yeah.
Like that's my only concern is like I haven't got a phone call. I get so much correspondence from the Titans all the time, but regarding something this big, like everybody's talking about it on every station all the time. And I haven't heard a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there going, what's going to happen with my money? Am I going to have to buy them all over again? Are you going to give me some type of credit? Is there going to be any incentive at all for me to reinvest? Because, man, that was like $3,000 a seat,
Wow.
and then you got to buy the tickets every year, and that's expensive. So, and then you got to pay to park. You got to pay for concessions. Like, it's not an easy thing for a family to do. We love doing it. That's why we do it. But I don't I would like to hear something, before I decide if I'm gonna be part of it.
Yeah, well, I would imagine that they will contact PSL holders, and whatever money you've invested, you probably invest into the new stadium plus whatever they ask you to pay in order to secure that seat. But the truth, they don't really need you right now in terms of the decision-making process.
Okay.
That sounds callous. I don't mean it to sound callous. The stadium's being built regardless of how many PSL holders are fans of it, because it's much larger than whoever has PSLs right now. Because, again, the amount of transplants that have come into this city with a ton of money, they'll be fine to be a Super Bowl crowd that's not as loud if they're making a ton of money on it. And if they're bringing Super Bowls and Final Fours and WrestleManias and World Cups and all of the things, every big concert imaginable, all of that kind of thing, they're going to be okay with it. They will contact you, but they're not going to say, hey, if enough PSL holders don't like this, we're not going to build the stadium. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now in the planning phases, they can't ask you yet because they don't have their plan fully set up to reveal. And secondarily, it doesn't really matter at that point whether or not you like it or not. They're going to give you an option, I'm sure, to get a seat in the new stadium. But what you've invested so far isn't going to be relevant to what they're going to do in the future.
Yeah, I understand his point about, hey, do we need a town hall meeting or something about this? At least a Q&A, even if it's 50 people. Like what's the plan for the people that's been here since '99? There's been a lot of support.
There won't be one. It'll just be, hey, you can get a new seat in the new stadium, but your seat doesn't exist. That's exactly what Atlanta said. The seat that you had doesn't exist in the new stadium.
All right.
That's just the business of it. Looks like a 2-year deal for Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, about 28 million, whatever it was.
615-737-1045 if you have thoughts as a PSL holder or just thoughts on the stadium in general. Again, it's not news we don't expect. We're just getting a few more specifics here and there. It's clearly coming, and it looks like 2026 is the goal. We'll be back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Jay, you want to know one of the reasons why this new stadium is coming up? One of the main reasons?
Yeah, of course.
Nissan needed new windows.
It actually did need new windows.
Maybe they should have hollered at our people at Window Nation, because you can get your degree in savings during Window Nation spring break sale, where even if the Titans wanted, they could have got 2 free windows for every 2 they bought for as many as they needed and make no down payments and pay no interest for 24 months.
Do it for the new stadium, Mon. Do it for the new stadium and you take care of that deal. Maybe that valuation, maybe you don't have to spend 2. Maybe you can spend 1.5 if you go to Window Nation.
I'm saying? They could have got it off right now, because it's Windows Nation spring break sale, where it's necessary, Jay. With the up and down temperatures we've experienced in the last couple of days, it's difficult sometimes to stay comfortable in your home with old, drafty windows, man. So if they are sticking, drafty, cracked, hard to open, or locking when they close, you probably need new windows, Jason.
They measure them 3 times at Window Nation. They're going to make sure that they are fit perfectly. 96% require no follow-up service at all. And then to what he's talking about, cracking and all that, Window Nation uses top-of-the-line materials for a reason. I'm talking mold spray, Quad Max sealant, all the toughest stuff against all weather conditions to make sure your windows are performing exactly the way that they should and your energy is not literally leaking out of your house. The offer is outstanding. 2 free windows every 2 you buy, no down payment, no payments, no interest for 2 full years. Let me say that again, slower. 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. No down payment, no payments, and pay no interest for 2 full years. That's going to save you thousands. This deal is outrageous. You're only going to see it once this year. Take advantage right now, just like over 100,000 homeowners that can trust Window Nation. 866-90-NATION is your telephone number, 866-90-NATION, or online at windownation.com. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Stephon Gilmore, a Colt. Titans fans just hope some of these moves the Colts are making are just making them the Lakers.
Just duds. Yeah.
Just making them older because they were building a team for 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But Gilmore was banged up, came back in for a team that was going nowhere by that point in Carolina. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler who's 31.
Yeah.
He's not 41. If he's able to stay healthy, he's good. Matt Ryan, the same way?
Yeah. And this is the thing, too, is I was talking with my dog there for a second about, I think it's a little bit of the reputation of Stephon Gilmore, too. Like, if you pick on him, he's been known to pick you off also. And his last moments in New England was he was trying to get out. He was injured. I think his biggest gripe was New England has a reputation of having their injured guys play or continue to stay on the field. I know Gronk was one of his reasons, I think, for wanting to get out. Tom always had his guy to take care of him. There's a lot of that went into his reasons to want to get out. He get to Carolina. He's still a little bit injured, got traded down to his home state pretty much. And it's this. He's got one team he really has to defend. And that's here in Tennessee as far as the passing game goes. Like, whatever Christian Kirk decides to do moving forward and how they throw to him and Trevor Lawrence, fine. I don't think Gilmore's going to see the glory years of what Trevor Lawrence can bring to the table. So I think what the Colts are doing, just being completely honest, is they're battling what Tennessee has. Getting into the playoffs is going to be through Indianapolis or Nashville. And that's just point blank period. And what do they got to do? They got to be able to stop AJ. I think they think their defensive run game is solid enough to where they can contain him as much as possible. But if we're looking at just this past just tenure of AJ Brown, it's got to be stopped by the Colts. And I think that was their play as far as signing Stephon Gilmore. Stop AJ Brown and whoever else the Titans have. And from there, we'll try to do what we can to battle this season and try to win the division. His reputation precedes him. Throw to him if you want to. That's on you. So we'll see what he look like when he get out there. He's playing indoors in a controlled environment for the most part. You playing in the South where it's a 2-team race. Coach just made another move to try to, hey, you got AJ. We got to go get a guy to stop AJ. That's the way I view this signing right here.
Absolutely. Again, like you better have a corner that can stop these receivers. Jamar Chase, AJ in division. It goes on and on and on. We've talked about receivers. We see how much money is being paid.
Yep.
And you do need somebody like that. And that was a position of need for them. And that will then enable them to use whatever draft capital that they have. And they don't have a ton either because of the Wentz deal and all that. For them to potentially get another receiver to go along with Pittman or to figure out their offensive line situation. They, I think, have made themselves better. And those that are clowning this and saying, look, he's an old injured player. Did you want Julio last year?
Ooh.
Because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Except he's older, meaning Julio, and has more of an injury history than Gilmore.
Well, here we go right here. AJ, the first game against the Colts, 0 receptions, 0 yards. Was he injured or inactive that game? He played that game. I think he came out early. The second game they played the Colts at Indianapolis, he had 10 receptions for 155 yards and 1 touchdown. Why did they sign Stephon Gilmore?
Yeah, because they want to neutralize AJ first because he's in division, and then they've got to have somebody to stop number one wideouts. I mean, the Rams had one corner. They really didn't have a secondary. They had Jalen Ramsey.
That one guy in particular, AJ, 10 for 155. You split those games with the Titans. I don't think they got to worry about necessarily the Jacksonville game in which they have historically lost. So this is good right here. There's the interdivisional chess matches is what's going on right now.
That's right. Remember, I feel like splitting is probably what happens this year between those two teams. And if so, right now I would say the Colts are the team that will win the division. But it'll just depend on who's healthy and who's not in those games specifically, but the season as a whole.
Yeah. God, dog, I keep hitting this mic. But 2 years, $23 million, $14 million guaranteed. So they're still paying him like a high dollar number one cornerback, so a first tier anyway. So good on Gilmore for hitting the bag again.
Yeah. and go into a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a borderline contender or whatever it is that you want to say about Indianapolis, they're better than Carolina.
Yeah,
not
they
even
are.
close.
Yeah.
Carolina, we don't know if they've got a coach or a quarterback.
Yeah, no.
Actually, we know they don't have a quarterback right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they've got a running back that can play half a season. Unless it's Foreman. I know you were about to say it, weren't you, Schaefer?
Yes.
I saw you start walking over as I was saying. I'm like, I'm about to take this from him.
So, yeah, coach just got a little bit better. I got to give it. If for anything, the reputation of Gilmore brings a lot to the table. I think it's the same way we felt about Julio. Again, have to stay healthy. You must stay healthy. It's the code to surviving in the NFL in general. So,
totally agree.
Should be more interesting this year.
Buffalo. What's going on, Buffalo?
What's up, Buff?
It's really going to be more interesting for the Titans and the Packers. They're in similar situations, losing with that week off. They both had that week off, and they both just laid a big old egg. I'm glad the Packers got Sammy. We have a problem in Green Bay that only one person gets the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rodgers only wants to throw to one person. You reflect back to Brett Favre losing Sterling Sharp and then winning the Super Bowl the next year with more receivers and less of a one-target, game plan. Kind of like the Titans with Henry. You got this one game plan that you're based off of, and everybody sees what it is, so they react to it, and then you stall out in the playoffs. More targets for Green Bay. I'm all for it. MVS was a washout. He was way too much money for what he produced. A lot of these guys would have a better record if they weren't competing with you look back at Watkins' history. I mean, he had a lot of competition on his teams where he couldn't really shine because there's so many people shining.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have a good day. Enjoy the show.
You too. Appreciate it.
Problem for Watkins is he can't stay healthy. Anywhere he's ever been, he hadn't been able to stay healthy.
Yeah. That heck of a talent.
Yeah, I mean, he was a what? He was a top 10 pick, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was pretty early, at least. I need to look it up for sure, but he was a stud coming out of Clemson. He just hadn't been able to stay healthy.
They were wide receiver you for a little while,
He was, let me see. I know where he was.
Sammy Watkins
drafted.
was round 1, pick 4.
4, yeah, okay. That's what I thought. He was very early.
Sammy Watkins, man, they were wide receiver you.
ESPN was comparing the quarterbacks in the draft to current guys.
Yeah.
What their best case scenario is. Malik Willis, Michael Vick. Kenny Pickett, Kirk Cousins.
I saw that. Yep.
Des Ridder.
Ryan
Tannehill.
There it is. But they had Ridder going where? Best fit for him was?
I didn't see that. I just saw the comparisons between the quarterbacks. I just think it's interesting that Ridder's a guy that's mentioned a lot with Tennessee.
Yes.
Now he's being compared to Tannehill if things are good.
Mm-hmm. Man, talk about news around the league. The police are seek to speak with Dallas Cowboy Kelvin Joseph in connection of a fatal shooting.
Yeah.
Dudes, man, y'all got to watch the crowd you hang around. Come on.
Harvin.
God, dog, man. You get the world laid out in front of you, and then you go do this. Like, be cool, y'all.
That's right. Jeremy's on line 1. What you got, Jeremy?
Hey, what's going on? Happy Friday, y'all. So I know that yesterday was I believe you Aaron Rodgers, and I tried to get through, but I got a story I wanted to share with y'all.
Yeah.
I was at the Kroger the other day, and this old lady stole my shopping cart.
Oh, man. That's the worst. Did you use the bathroom or did you walk away from the cart? She saw it was. Did you have any items in it when she took it?
This thing was it was about an arm's length away. I turn and there's no carts in the place because it's full.
Yeah.
And I turn around to get some asparagus, some fresh asparagus. I was going home and grill it. And I turn back around, and the cart is gone. And this little old lady, Hispanic old lady, about 50-something years old, she's rolling off in my cart, looking at me like, "Yeah, I got your cart. What are you going to do about it?" And I thought, man, I want to grab a hold of you. I want to throw this asparagus at you, but you know what? God don't like ugly. I'm going to leave you alone. You can have that cart.
Wait, she said that?
She looked at him like that.
No, she looked.
Oh, shot you a look.
Yeah, she shot me a look like, "Yeah, I got your cart. What are you going to do about it?" She knew it was my cart. But then, I was like, "Yeah, I'll burn you."
Did you, wait a second though, again, did you have any items in it?
No, I didn't. I just got it.
See?
She got it. Yeah, she got it because she knew that there wasn't no other carts in the building.
She dogged you.
Yeah, she did. She waited me out. But albums that I've listened to from the front to the back when I was a kid is, the UGK albums, Riding Dirty,
yes,
and, Underground King,
mm-hmm.
and then you guys already said the Get Rich or Die Trying album, and then also Ludacris is back for the first time album. That album was good. Even the intros that we were talking about the random white people on the songs, that stuff was funny. All right, so and then like country music, the Jason Aldean's album Wide Open was pretty good, but I'm waiting on these fresh peaches, y'all, so I can get this grilled peach collar out for y'all. They come out in April. I remember telling y'all about that. I gotta wait. I want to use the good stuff, the right stuff, but that's the only reason as always, guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
Where you get your peaches from? From the Peach Truck Company?
Yeah, you go Peach Truck.
Yeah, there's a peach truck. There's an old man that sits on the side of the road. I'm not going to say where because I go buy him out so nobody else can get them. But,
what county?
Rutherford.
Okay. I'm not in competition with you then.
Yeah.
I like that move. I ain't telling you.
That's good.
It's all mine.
I think we do give up all our secrets sometimes,
hey, Nashville's
man.
Great. Don't move here.
Don't move here at all.
Fantastic. We don't need you.
Yeah.
We don't have room for you.
It is almost
we have plenty
peach
to
season.
offer. Go away.
Yeah. Boy, peach season is fire. I'll let you know summertime's right around. There's this jam that the Peach Truck sells. Whoo, this peach bourbon one. I mix it in my barbecue sauce sometimes that I makeshift make, and I put it in my Swedish meatballs. Boy, in the slow cooker crock pot. Hey, Shave, you've had my meatballs before, hadn't you?
Phrasing.
That's not what I meant.
What time is it? 9:33 or 10? Because I wanted it to be 10 so bad.
I was talking about cookout items, man. Come on, it's almost peach season.
Like,
seriously.
You have. They're spectacular.
They are spectacular. The peach bourbon jam, man,
Very
does
good.
it for you. But I want to get back to, I forget who was it called. Was it Chris or Steve that called earlier, speaking about, the Titans giving a heads up, about this PSLs and everything that goes around. I see people in the chat saying, look, they don't care about what you think, they should be doing with the tickets and you're a hot dog bar. I do think it's important. Nashville has always been about community as of late, as it's grown more. But the support of being a new team in this city that supported you from Memphis to heck, where else did they play around this city to now finally being at Nissan. I ain't saying anything's old. I think, like you said, the understanding of what's next could be a cool little PR move that they could make to at least smooth over what's going to happen in this new stadium.
Well, I think they'll call them after they say this thing's green lighted.
Yeah.
You probably call them and tell them, but you're not gonna. Your decision's not being made based on what you think the PSL holders want.
Absolutely not. And the price will be set based off business.
Right.
Is where you're going. But it'd be nice, Jay, to kind of have a conversation around it. If you're listening, Titans, front office and management, it's a lot of people worried about it. But to Jay's point, maybe they just want to push that out anyway because the price is going to go and the tickets will be paid. Like I said, the Geodis Park conversation. There's not as many suites as you said, but the look of that makes you want to say, I'm going to as many games as I want. And I think that's what that new stadium is going to be. And because of that, the demand for those tickets and season ticket buyers is through the roof.
Well, here's the other thing. There's nothing to tell them yet.
I know it's not.
That's the thing. What are you going to call and tell them?
You don't even have the money approved through the state yet.
This is very true, but I'm just saying at some point that conversation.
Well, and they will.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just. And
it's the same thing as trying to sell every year, making sure, hey, you're going to re-up, you're going to renew. Like those same calls get made anyway.
And I guess it's that point right there. They're probably still getting emails about, hey, it's time to renew, or hey, you want this parking spot.
My question is this: how fast do you want people to buy PSLs for the new stadium before it's built?
You don't, because the price is going to go up over time.
So you definitely don't want to talk to anybody right
I mean, not right now, but at least you know how it goes. We're going to check a checkbook. We're getting a check mark in a lot of these conversations that we're having. And I think that's just what they're saying. Where are we?
Well, more than I'm saying, the year before it opens, do you want? Are you going to be trying to sell those out and make people buy twice? At that point, how early do you get to move over, or do you have to go ahead and secure your ticket with some kind of payment on top of what you're doing at Nissan Stadium?
Ooh, that's a lot to ask. it's gonna be available one way or the other. I just like the part of the conversation being had from a team that's family owned and is community based and is Nashville. It's just different. And I'm with you, Lonzo. The new stadium is going to be gorgeous.
No, he's talking
about that
stadium.
one. The soccer, the new one here is going to be gorgeous. I fell in love with walking Geodis Park. Everything about it is so freaking cool. Nashville SC. If you're not planning on going to a game, you probably want to plan on going very soon. And it's going to be, to Shafe and your point about the timeline of it, 2 hours, 15 minutes of just getting in and getting out, going right back to the cookout at the house. It's freaking cool. Though that stand-only area, that section of it, I've never seen that in a stadium before. But they got this stadium, this section of, metal bleachers where it's just stand-only. The way they manufactured that, I'd never seen it in a stadium before, and maybe it's a regular as far as soccer stadiums go.
Right, standing room areas like that.
Have you seen
actually,
it?
They've been outmoded a little bit, but it's much more common to European football, worldwide football, going back to the 80s, 90s, and even
it's
prior to
hooligan
that.
stuff.
I hadn't seen it.
Well,
You don't need a seat to bop somebody.
Well, taking the hooliganism aspect
I
out
know,
of it,
I know.
but you're not completely wrong when you say that. That's where a lot of that did occur, and the Hillsborough tragedy that occurred in England and all that is because there was a rush in that section. Where, I mean, basically there'd be areas where there wouldn't even be seats; it'd just be standing room only, and there used to be major issues, especially in the 80s.
To your point, the intimacy of that friggin' everything is just close.
I'm telling you, that should be the way. Unless you're building SoFi, that should be what you should do. Like if you're the Oakland A's, if you're a team like that, you should just build a palace, an immaculate palace that you know you can fill and always have people wanting to come in, instead of a cavern.
Yeah.
That you are constantly trying to fill, that you have to then cut corners. I'd rather you have all these monitors and screens and all these other kinds of things and 40,000 seats than bare bones 85,000 or something like that.
I say if there's a concert there, you're gonna want to go. It's so Nashville too. They got a bunch of things on the inside that's it's so Nashville. It's dope. I can't stop talking about it. I think I called Shafe about it after. It's like, this place, can I borrow your tickets? Because I'm cheap like that.
Yeah.
I can borrow them?
I'm equal opportunity.
I mean, a day that you don't go, I'll go. I would go to the opener, but it's sold out.
Hey, I offered tickets up to several guys last year. Lucas got tickets a couple of times.
Of course, Lucas did.
Yeah.
That's our guy, though.
He's broke.
615-737-1045. We'll take a couple more calls at the end. I'm going to read some of the things coming in on the chat about no-skip albums as well. Again, if you want to sell PSLs, it helps that your team's the number one seed last year.
Yeah, it does.
So you're going to kind of want to keep winning. You're not going to spend what you're going to have to spend in a new stadium to watch a bad football team. That's what the biggest thing happened with Atlanta is they fell off a cliff as Mercedes was built. And they kept Dan Quinn 1 year too long, and then Julio couldn't stay on the field, and then Calvin Ridley had everything go. So why are you not defaulting on it? I'm walking away from those seats too, probably.
Yeah.
So that's part of this whole thing. We'll come back. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
If you hadn't realized just yet, spring weather in the South can get a little complicated. One day it can be warm and almost hot or even hot, and you need to turn on the air conditioner for a little while. But at nighttime, it can get chilly, and you need a little bit of heat to keep you warm and comfortable at night. It's Ramon Foster, and I have the heating and cooling company that can take care of all of your HVAC needs. And you're thinking to yourself, why do I need all that? Well, guess what? Go talk to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They have over 20 years of experience of serving all of Southern Middle Tennessee. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is also a family-owned and operated company that prides itself for outstanding customer service. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling also offers cost-effective solutions such as free service calls for a repair and free estimates on replacement systems. They back their work also with a 10-year 10-year parts and labor warranty and up to 72 months of no interest on new install. So be ready for the spring or the summer or anything that may come your way by getting the best indoor air quality thanks to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They have 2 locations to serve you, in Columbia and in Lyles, okay? And available anytime if you want to at springhillac.com. Go talk to the folks I know at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. No skip album, Odelay from Beck. I think it qualifies. Love Beck. And this album was tremendous.
What did your microphone do to you today, Ramon, that you have to
That thing
keep
is getting
beating it
destroyed,
up?
man.
You know what?
Hit dog will holler.
Hit dog every time, baby.
I had to look it up because I mentioned it to Abby last night. She goes, never heard that before. I said, I haven't really either. I've heard it lately from you. I had to look up exactly what it meant.
What's that?
What hit dog will holler means.
I mean, go ahead. You looked it up. What does it say?
What do you when you use it? Because sometimes there are words that I use that I know I use out of context, but I think the way I use them is better, so I do it anyway, even if it's wrong.
Yeah.
So when hit dog will holler, what does that mean to you?
That a conversation that has nothing to do with you, you speak up to. Just like if you hit a dog or something like that, if a dog get hit by a car, it's gonna holler. So if ours absolutely, you had nothing to do with the conversation. I wasn't talking to you and Shafe say something. It's like, what? Just letting you know we heard, basically.
But the hit dog's guilty, right?
Hit dog's guilty party. Yeah.
Okay.
Hit dog or holler.
All right. So
guilty party owning up when nobody asks you.
So the origin of it, 19th century preacher, Samuel Porter Jones. He was a lawyer first. He used to say, throw a stone into a crowd of dogs and the hit dog will holler. The moral being people who are offended by an accusation will speak out loudly in a group. And in doing so, the offended person reveals their own sense of guilt. So basically, it's whoever denied it supplied it.
Yeah, pretty much. Hit dog gonna holler every time, baby. It is one of them, like, coaches saying something now. We got to do a better job of protecting the quarterback, and we got to make sure we're throwing it to our guys. You know?
One's outrage reveals their own guilt in some manner. Okay, it makes all the sense in the world now that I see the, like...
The explanation of it. Yeah, hit dog holler, baby.
Where there's smoke, there is fire.
Yes, sir. Yeah, all of those. They add up to it. Hit dog on holler.
If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it is a duck.
That's a doggone duck.
Or as Stephen A. Smith says, not a daggone mongoose.
Yeah,
but he says it much louder and
brass. Yeah,
Frank in White House. Frank, what's going on?
What's up, Frank? White?
Man, just got two things for you guys.
I'm listening.
Thing
Hello?
one?
Hello?
Yeah, we're still here,
waiting
Frank.
on you, Frank, from White
Okay, I
House.
thought I lost you.
Nah, we got you the whole time.
All right, no. Yeah, two things for you. You know, the stadium thing, the PSLs, it's really a moot point. Ignorance is bliss on that because you either are or you're not. When it comes to spending that money, you either are or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, no skip, anything Tupac.
Anything Tupac. What's your first Tupac?
Anything. Pardon me?
What's the first album you gonna put on though?
Probably the Californication album.
That's Red Hot Chili Peppers, right?
Californication.
Red Hot Chili Peppers did a Californication.
Did they do a
yeah.
Californication?
That was a Scar Tissue album.
But I think he's talking about the album that has California on it.
Yeah.
California Love on it.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I was not expecting that voice and Tupac in the same sentence.
I've heard a few as of late. It's like, you know what? Music, man. If we could treat life like music sometime without some of the murder and crazy stuff they say in music, the way we enjoy it, the way we enjoy it. No, but the way we enjoy music, if we treated each other like music, we'd be a whole lot better, man.
A few ludicrous word of mouth.
Yep.
Garth Brooks' Fences was mentioned, the Eminem Show, and the Marshall Mathers LP from Eminem because the skits were actually well done. There's several Pearl Jam mentions. Michael Jackson's Bad. Stadium Arcadium from Red Hot Chili Peppers was mentioned. Somebody mentioned a Greatest Hits CD. That doesn't count.
You can't put Greatest Hits in there.
It doesn't count.
Can I throw a few in there?
Yeah.
Mentioned earlier, Metallica, the Black Album.
Yeah, some
Although
people said that wasn't their best album. It was And Justice for All or Master of Puppets or something
There's
like
a difference between best and also
completely true.
Unskippable.
Completely true.
Because Master of Puppets, I think, was the best album. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, which to me is just a perfect record from start to finish. Led Zeppelin, the fourth album by Led Zeppelin, and AC/DC Back in Black, which there is not a skippable track on AC/DC's Back in Black.
I'll say just throwing some more that I didn't get to. Stone Temple Pilots, Core, Tom Petty's Wildflowers, Dr. Dre's The Chronic, the original one you could probably mention. We mentioned Get Rich or Die Trying. The Game's documentary, honestly, is one that for me I can play pretty much from any spot. Nothing Was the Same from Drake, if you want to get a little bit newer.
Take Care for Me.
Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, Nashville Sound. There's a ton, and there's a lot in the chat. If you go back through the archive, you'll find a bunch of stuff there. You'll listen to Buck Rising for the next 3 hours, maybe. Will he complain about the heat?
It's a little bit better today.
Yeah. It isn't as bad, but I am also wearing shorts and a T-shirt today.
That's true. I got.
Hope you enjoyed the leg today, folks. For Ramon Foster,
wasn't as noticeable.
That's because I didn't put it out there
That's
as much.
exactly what I'm saying.
Put that thigh meat up, Jay.
Monday, it's going to be all thigh meat all the time. For Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer, I'm Jason Martin. This is an important day, to say the least. Hopefully, you're going to have a good holiday weekend. Just a reminder, I saw this earlier, and I'm just going to finish with this. The cross, most important central event in time and eternity, and the answer to all the problems of both. See you Monday.
And remember, Twitter fingers in your mic, always hot.